Breaker Crunchers, welcome to issue 79 of Couch Crunchers, where Max and Lance have ascended to a very new level of life partner status in that they are both having children within weeks of each other. With me is Matt from the Absolute Geek podcast.
What's going on, guys?
Sam, the movie mechanic of Rivia.
Hey, gang.
And of course, Lance.
Yeah. I don't get any
so enthusiastic about your own show, Lance. hey, Lance. So
yeah, just as Lance. All you guys have like Matt of Absolute Geek and Sam of Rivia and Lance. Just Lance.
Well,
Lance
I liked,
dude. We'll call me Lance
a few weeks ago when Matt was on and his name was not Lance. It was wonderful.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Matt came on and he just made his name not Lance.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So as I mentioned in that little stinger there, Lance and I are having children. So fab or flub on that?
Fab.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. I already told you. You guys need to start a spinoff called Crib Crunchers. Where it's just your kids.
I think it's a giant flub. It's a giant flub.
It's a giant flub.
Oh, just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah,
not that you guys are having a baby, that we're having a baby. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Just
yeah. Well, it's definitely exciting. That's why our thumbnail this week is all of us in diapers. So we're excited.
A giant flub on your wall.
Why?
That's not why? Then why?
Because of New Year's.
Because of New Year's.
I don't get it.
Are you serious? New Year's?
No, what the heck does babies have to do with New Year's?
I welcome to the Western culture.
Are you serious, dude?
I've never. What are you talking about?
The symbol of the New Year is a baby in a first baby in a diaper.
It is?
Yeah, it's always been the case.
No, I've never.
Well,
I've never heard of that.
Your head. I wonder who else's head it went over. Probably everyone.
I've never heard of that.
That is.
Hey, Benji. What are we talking about? Oh, Benji, you got to listen. That's how you find out what we're talking about.
I think it landed straight home with everybody but Max. I think everyone got it but Max.
Maybe.
Max was like, he made babies because we're having babies. No,
that's what I thought. I don't know. All right. Well, fab or flub to Lance's artwork. I say flub.
Fab. It was fab.
I think it's fab. It's fantastic. It's hilarious.
Matt sent me like 8 texts that just say ha 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 ha.
I loved it when he showed again.
No, that's funny. I saw one of the comments on there. I really liked it. It was someone talking about how one of us didn't have a diaper and was grabbing way too aggressively at the crotch, which was you, Lance.
That was
Lance. Yeah. All right. Well, as usual, we're going to start off the show talking fab or flub, and we are going to be talking all about our favorite movies, TV shows, video games of the decade, as well as the year. So it's going to be a fun-filled one, and I'm excited about it. But as usual, we're going to start off with fab or flub. If you don't know what that segment is, it's a segment where we talk about some of the recent headlines and decide if they're fabulous or flubulous. So first on the docket, I don't see how anyone in this panel is going to say anything other than fab. Mandalorian Season 2 has been confirmed for fall 2020. Let's start with the Rivian.
Oh, fab. I love The Mandalorian. That was great. You know, I will say that there's a lot of like fan backlash regarding the main series movies and saying how disappointing they are versus The Mandalorian and how The Mandalorian was able to satisfy audiences. And I will say that it is a question of scale. I mean, The Mandalorian is telling a very small, tight story versus the main series movies, which are enormous in scale and trying to go galactic in their scope, whereas The Mandalorian is just trying to tell basically a space western. And so not that I'm trying to make excuses for the big movies, but there is kind of something to be learned there, right? You have the tighter narrative is easier to manage than these kind of grand scale things. And I feel like the sequel series just got out of hand. Like they didn't know what the message was. Rian Johnson's Last Jedi just got like, it sticks out like a sore thumb now. You know, it doesn't even make sense. But
Yeah.
Mandalorian season 2 is a fab in my book.
Absolutely. And I agree. Fab for me. I mean, heck yeah. Mandalorian was awesome. And I like that it was kind of, like you said, kind of less large, grandiose in scale. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on. He goes to a lot of different planets, but it's focused in on a small set of characters, and it's not about some galactic, overlords trying to destroy everybody. It's way more focused, and I love that. I've been wanting to see more of that from Star Wars for a long time because the books have a lot of that. A lot of the books are very like galactic, but the Corellian trilogy, for instance, kind of like the entire trilogy takes place on Corellia, and it's a fascinating trilogy. So I've been wanting to see similar things to that in Star Wars live action. And The Mandalorian doesn't take place on just one planet, but it is fairly focused in nature, and I love that. What do you think, Matt?
I'm all for it. I agree. Fab. I just want season 2 to be a little bit more. I don't know. I don't want to say originality, but have a little bit more originality and a little bit less fan service.
Sure.
And maybe feel like the entire series of episodes were written this way instead of it felt like at times they had enough content for maybe 4 or 5 episodes, and then they just threw a couple filler episodes in there to hit 8. So
Yeah.
just a little bit better storytelling, a little bit better continuity and cohesiveness moving forward. But I'm definitely all for season 2.
I agree with that. Like there only being 8 episodes, there seemed to be far too much filler. That was odd.
It seemed like they had a lot of like tribute episodes that were, and by that I mean they were like paying homage to classic westerns. There was that one episode that took place on the forest planet.
Endor.
And was it on Endor? Forest Moon of Endor?
I thought there was an episode that took place on Endor. You know what? I'm probably thinking Rise of Skywalker because they go to Endor.
Yeah. But it was basically the Magnificent Seven or the Seven Samurai, Mando and the girl, the shock trooper, her name's escaping me right now, that they go in and they train the locals how to fight, and then they face off against the invading army.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I thought that was one of my favorite episodes. I think
It was a good episode, but it was like they ripped the plot straight from Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, you're right. Small town, you're defending it. Yeah. All right, Lance. Well, what do you think? Was it a fan coming?
I think it's great, but I got to tell you, I'm getting really tired of 8 episode seasons. I don't think it's enough to like we're not getting any more until next fall. This season just seems so short. It's the same with a lot of shows. The way they're doing it now, it's like 8-10 episode seasons, and then they have you wait an entire year for the next one. I just worry that that if they keep going down this route of short seasons and waiting so long, that I'm going to lose my taste for it, and I'm just not going to watch anymore.
See,
I think that depends on what you're watching on, because I think like Netflix, they record 16, 18 episode series and then they break them up. So
yeah, because they're releasing them more free.
Yeah,
I think Netflix is releasing them more frequently. Like I don't think you have to wait so far into
usually
a year.
It's like 6 months in between.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. But we're not getting this new season until fall, where this one released in fall. So it's a year.
That doesn't seem like that long to me, honestly, because with Netflix's trajectory on a lot of things, you might have 2 years. I mean, Stranger Things season 2 and 3, there was, I think, 1.5 to 2 years between them. So I don't know. I see where you're coming from with the shorter seasons. I've said on the show many times, and I'll say it again. I love short seasons. Give me short and sweet, but focused.
Yeah,
I think there's a sweet spot though, and I don't think 8 episodes hits that sweet spot.
I think it depends. The Boys was 8 episodes, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, well,
hour-long episodes.
Yeah,
they were
8 hours
hour-long
versus-
episodes, and
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours for The Mandalorian.
That's true.
I mean, to your point, Lance, I'd say there's these long spreads between seasons. For Stranger Things was a problem because the kids were growing up, and they
Right.
didn't look as cute as they used to. And with the Mandalorian, I mean, what's Baby Yoda going to look like in a year?
Probably not any different.
Well, he's 50 now, and if he looks like that at 50, right? He's 50, right?
Child actors, you
Yeah.
never know
Yeah.
what they're going to look like in next season.
You never know, man. The young actors. Oh my gosh. All right.
Man.
Well, we'll talk about the finale here a little bit later. Let's move on to our next Fab or Flub, which is that Deadpool 3 is being worked on at Marvel now, according to Ryan Reynolds.
I'll be more happy when I have a release date.
Fair enough. I don't know. I mean, I think we all knew Deadpool was going to be happening. So for me, it was just more like confirmation that they are actively working on it. But
I don't understand how this is any different because he took a picture in Marvel Studios like 6 months ago. Like after the act, so he's been having meetings. We all knew he's been having meetings.
See, I think that's misdirection. I think that was for the movie, the new guy, or the other Free Guy, Free Guy. I think that's what that movie was for because that's a Disney movie.
Yeah, but he was standing at Marvel Studios, like he had the big Marvel Studios thing.
Yeah, but I think I think Marvel Studios is doing more for Disney than just the Marvel movies.
I suppose.
I don't know. I've learned to just believe whatever Matt says anymore because there are so many times where I'm like, Matt's crazy, and then it's right.
Oh man, no, I just it didn't really register on my radar, like because I already thought it was happening. So,
I think I think you're gonna see it 2021. It's gonna be one of those 2021 open slots. If you're hearing about it now, I think 2021 it's gonna be one of the unnamed 2021 Marvels movies.
You're probably right.
I hope so.
I just want to read a comment from the chat here because it's beautiful. Chad Meyer, not 100% sure if I'm saying that right. Just glad they got an unknown actor for Baby Yoda. Well-known actors just don't work. Ask Matt.
That's true. You got to go unknown actor.
Larry from STS Guys is on with us too, it looks like.
What's up, Larry?
Chad's one of our guys. He's one of our regulars.
Yeah.
How's it going, Chad?
Anyway, so I mean, it's not a ton of news, but I figure Fab. I'm just glad that it's being worked on.
Yeah, I would say it's Fab because they're getting the project green lit and they're moving it to the front of the pack. It's gonna happen sooner rather than later, so that Lance doesn't have to wait so long. I mean,
I have ADHD, dude. Don't make me wait. I will lose
don't
interest.
make him wait more than a season. Otherwise, he's done. He's throwing his hands up, calling it a day.
Well, you were saying, I think I was on with you in an episode a few weeks ago, Max, where you saying that there's a DC movie. There's two DC movies that come out at the same time frame, and then there's another Marvel movie that comes out around the same time that hasn't been announced yet in 2021. And I have a feeling it's going to be Deadpool.
I think I know what you're talking about. I'd be fine with that. I mean, what? Deadpool 2 wasn't it last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 2018, 2021.
Because I think I speculated that it was probably going to be Black Panther 2, but I think it's going to be Deadpool 3.
I think that would make sense.
So which ones are you talking? So the Batman, Suicide Squad, and Black Adam come out in 2021.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of them came up against a Marvel movie that was unreleased or unannounced Marvel movie.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was Black Adam, I want to say.
So there's December 22nd is Black Adam, August 6th is Suicide Squad, and June 25th is the Batman. And let's look up Marvel
schedule.
Movie release dates. So you're thinking 2021, right?
Yeah.
Let me see here.
So Marvel doesn't have a ton revealed right now. Marvel 2021 movies. Let's see what we get here. Doctor Strange and Thor and Shang-Chi. I don't think those are all going to be in 2021, are they?
Shang-Chi is February. Doctor Strange is May 7th. Spider-Man Homecoming is August 16th. So Spider-Man Homecoming...
No, I think you're looking at the wrong thing, buddy.
Homecoming 3. Sorry. It says right here. Spider-Man Homecoming 3 is what it says. August 16th, 2021.
No, I don't think
Which
that's. I think that's made up, dude. Because
Yeah.
they haven't even started. They haven't even started pre-production on Spider-Man yet. There
This is
hasn't
from
even been a
Time
script.
Magazine.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
Let me look and see if I can find them.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some stuff here because I found a website that was talking about 4 movies in 2021, but I don't know that I believe
Because
that.
Marvel had already had their 2021 release announced at San Diego Comic-Con before they got the deal done with Sony. So
Right.
there's no way Spider-Man's coming 2021.
All right.
That
So
one's
this
probably
is
2022.
from Collider, which was
Yeah.
updated 2 days ago.
I just found this one too. It looks like there is going to be.
Untitled Spider-Man Far From Home sequel, July 16th. This one says. Thor: Love and Thunder is November 5th.
Yeah, so there's already 4: Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange,
So
Spider-Man, and Thor. That's already 4 in 2021.
there is a unreleased February. There's a blank February
Of 2022, right?
2021
Well, that's
in
Shang-Chi,
there.
February 12th.
So
I think we might be looking at February 2022. That's what I'm thinking now. Now that I look at this list, there's no way they're going to do 5 movies in 1 year.
Well, they have May 6th, 2022 is the Black Panther sequel. And then Blade and Guardians of the Galaxies don't have a release date.
There's an untitled Marvel movie,
So,
February 18th, 2022.
what website are you looking at?
Collider.
So Den of Geeks has Black Widow May 1st, 2020, Eternals November 6th, 2020, Shang-Chi February 12th, 2021.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness May 7th, 2021. Thor and Love and Thunder November 5th, 2021.
Yeah.
So,
and then Collider has all of that, but they also have the untitled Spider-Man sequel, July 16th of 2021.
and then because I mean they have Ant-Man 3 that's already been announced, Blade 3, Blade that's been announced, Guardians 3. That it just I don't know. I don't see them putting a Spider-Man movie in there that quick.
Well, then, and isn't Captain Marvel supposed to be coming out?
And Captain Marvel 2, yeah. I don't know.
So Chad says that they're saying Spidey 3 is going to be Craven, which I couldn't be more excited about because
it makes sense the way they set it up. It makes sense. But they're also now talking. It came out that they're in talks with to let Tom Holland do the Venom 2. So who knows what's going to happen?
I think that I think Spidey 3 has to come out it'll come out before Deadpool because I think they're going to use Spidey 3 to kind of like merge those two worlds a little bit.
I mean, it would make sense to have Deadpool go since they're going to supposedly lose Spider-Man after this next movie anyways, other than cameos, it makes sense to move forward with Deadpool afterwards. But you would think that by now you would be hearing more about Spider-Man going into 2020. Like there'd be rumors of pre-production starting, that filming starts on this date.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I think that Marvel losing Spider-Man thing's not going to happen though, because I truly think that Apple's going to purchase Sony. And then it's going to be a moot point. And I think Disney's kind of banking on that.
So long as Disney doesn't buy them. I don't want Disney buying anyone else. They've got enough.
Yeah. Did you guys see that meme of the next 200 years of Disney?
I did see that. It was pretty funny.
It was hilarious how eventually Disney's going to be the Disney states of America. And then they're going to go to war with Canada and Mexico. And then the last thing, it was 2,422 or something like that.
Hold on. I want to see if I can find it. Because I think it'd just be funny to read this whole thing on the line, on the air. Okay, I found it. So,
all right, share your screen. I don't know if Sam and Matt has seen this.
I haven't seen it. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, gosh dang it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I guess I can share my screen. Hold on here.
We'll just have to read them out loud for the
that's what I was
without
gonna do.
visuals.
Yeah. Because
before you read that, how crazy would it be if we're being duped and we're gonna get they're saying 4 movies a year, right? And right now we've got Black Widow and Eternals slated for 2020. What if we're getting duped and there's already a Deadpool movie in the works and we get a trailer dropped Super Bowl Sunday?
That'd be awesome.
And maybe they sneak something in
November.
2020. Shoot,
Yeah.
could be next year. It's been every 2 years on the other ones.
All right, so
All right,
I'll read this off.
Go ahead.
You're gonna read it? Go for
ahead.
it.
No, you're good.
All right,
Go ahead.
1995, Disney buys ABC. 2006, Disney buys Pixar. 2009, Disney enters 30 film deal with DreamWorks. I don't remember that. Do you guys remember that?
I don't remember that.
No.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yes, because there was a time they were having issues with Pixar before they acquired Pixar. And they were looking at changing from Pixar to DreamWorks, and it didn't end up happening.
So 2009, Disney buys Marvel. 2012 buys Lucasfilms. 2015. Okay, we already know this. 2018, Disney buys Hulu. All right, scroll down, Matt.
And in 2017, they buy 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. So in 2019, Disney releases Disney Plus. 2022, Disney buys Universal Studios. 2025, Disney buys DreamWorks. 2026, Disney buys Sony. PlayStation rebranded as Disney Infinity. PlayStation Network rebranded as Disney Universe. 2028, Disney attempts to buy Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers says no. 2028, Disney tries to buy Warner Brothers through Shell Corporation. WB finds out and gets hostile. 2030, buys Apple. Apple Watch rebranded the Mickey Watch. 2031, the Church of Baby Yoda is the fastest growing religion in the world. 2031, Disney acquires a private military, starts corporate espionage on the large scale. 2032, Disney storms the headquarters of Warner Brothers. Few die because of the electronic surveillance provided by the Apple products most employees of Warner Brothers use. Disney buys DC Comics. Mickey Mouse is now more powerful than Superman. Disney owns the majority of copyrighted material, buys off US, EU, and other major powers to honor unlimited copyright to corporate ownership. Disney buys Microsoft. Disney Universe is now expanded further. Master Chief is now a Disney princess. In the midst of negotiations for takeover, Google launches Escape Craft, departs solar system, destination unknown. Counter Disney efforts take place. The war on the black market starts. Disney claims that the black market efforts are headed up by small studios, starts forced corporate takeovers. 2042, terrorist attacks on Disney starts. Nuclear explosion destroys Orlando, Florida. Black market terrorists blamed. Hollywood turns into a war zone. All releases for the next 10 years are CGI due to the die-off of actors. Disney farms start to raise next generation of actors. Disney buys the United States of America.
That's 2050.
2050, yep. The Disney States of America is born. 52, Disney nukes Hollywood. 55, Disney States of America annexes Canada. South Park and Underground Resistance to the DSN releases an episode on the black market deriding the move. It's the #1 most viewed South Park episode of all time. So South Park is still going strong in 2055. The creators of South Park are declared terrorists. Manhunt starts. Mexico resists annexation due to the cartels banding together. 2058 to 60, war in Mexico results in eventual annexation. South America becomes hotbed of resistance. So at this point, I thought this was going into Star Wars territory, and there was going to be the Empire versus the Resistance. EU integrates in the DSA. Disney State of the World is born. The UK joins DSW. BBC is acquired. Doctor Who is now a Disney princess. In 65, DSW colonizes the moon. The moon has its own government under the DSW. The Disney States of the Universe is born. Mars colonization efforts start. Political prisoners used for initial efforts. The first Mars civil war starts. It's put down quickly due to orbital strikes. Mars colonization finalized. Disneyland Mars is open. First mission to Titan is set out. Proposal for interstellar. So we can skip all this.
Yeah,
the creators of South Park are discovered to be behind the rebellion of Mars. Pluto Team 6 is sent out and they are dispatched. And then just go to the bottom. There's a whole bunch of war.
Yeah, you're right.
2100, Disney announces new X-Men movie. Marvel fans are excited, which was the cherry on top. That's the part where I was like, oh, well, that's why I read all this bullshit for 5 minutes. But it's true though. Like eventually, I mean, in the current state of where we are as far as corporate America, Disney's acquisitions are not done. And
maybe not.
There's already a relationship between Disney and Apple. I don't put those things, obviously the things about starting wars on Mars and stuff like that are far-fetched, but as far as acquiring other companies, I don't think we've seen the last of it.
So Deadpool 3 is a flub for you.
All right.
No.
Way to bring us back home, Sam.
All right.
That's what I'm gathering. Okay.
With that, let's move on.
That's awesome.
Robert Pattinson's expecting fan backlash for Batman.
He's gonna get it. He's absolutely right.
I don't mean, is that news? Every time there's a new superhero, there's going to be backlash.
I just think it's amazing how like pessimistic he is about the whole thing. First of all, he's saying that he's expecting fan backlash. Then he's saying Batman's not really a superhero. And then he's just like, every week it seems like he puts out another article that's like trashing his character or like reminding people that it's gonna suck. Like, you have these people that are optimists that it might be actually decent because of the actors they're putting around him, and then Robert Pattinson's like, wait, I'm still Robert Pattinson, this is gonna suck. You know, it's just kind of.
Are you implying that Robert Pattinson sucks?
No, I think he's had some good roles, but he's not putting any amount of confidence in anybody.
I mean, I didn't read the entire article, but just based on him saying that he expects fan backlash, I don't think that's true at all. I mean, he's just saying he's expecting backlash. I don't think that means he thinks the movie's going to be bad. I don't think he's setting us up or lowering expectations.
Yeah, it's just that in addition to the other things that he said about, or the other articles that have been out about, as far as him not being able to bulk up, or him not doing this, or him not doing that, or the fact that he's basically saying that Batman's not a superhero and all these other things. Like, it just seems like there's a new article coming out where he's not exactly instilling optimism in people.
I don't see it that way.
Well, how do you see it?
Like I said, he's just saying he expects fan backlash. I mean,
I see it like words on a paper.
Yeah, I don't
Words
know.
on a piece of paper.
Words on a piece of paper. I'm not reading into it any more than that. I admit I'm a little bit less excited about the Batman than I was, because the news around it hasn't been like amazing. But I don't think this comment itself is anything other than he knows some people are going to hate it. A lot of people liked Batflick, but a lot of people hate it. So that's just life.
Yeah, I think this is him responding to two things. One, he was already part of a very popular IP, and that received a lot of fan backlash. I'm talking about Twilight, of course. And he didn't necessarily, he learned a lot from that experience. And it's kind of made him wary of projects where there's a lot of fan following, a very devoted fan following. And I don't think that Batman is has the same kind of obsessive fans as Twilight, but maybe they do. I just think he's preparing himself mentally for the same kind of rigors as he had with Twilight, where the fans were obsessive. The fans wanted to know every little detail, and they scrutinized his performance. Even though he wasn't that old, he wasn't that experienced, and it was basically something he could do to pay the bills. And now that he's wealthy, he can pick and choose the roles that he wants to take. I think he's excited about the role. I think he's trying to prepare us for his interpretation of the role, and not necessarily the directors or the studios. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I think Sam's hit it on the head. Like, I mean, you can count Harry Potter, so technically he's been part of, Harry Potter and Twilight, two big franchises.
Yeah.
And he's going into Batman, a third. When I read these articles, two things come to mind. One, he sounds like a man who doesn't know jack crap about Batman, the lore behind him, or what he's going into. and
for sure.
that he doesn't want to be typecast in another, big franchise movie like he was in. And I know he was only in one Harry Potter movie, but in Twilight, it just sounds like he doesn't want that. He wants to stay doing these art pictures, and it sounds like in his head he thinks that this is going to be an artsy indie picture, and it's not what it's going to be. So he kind of just doesn't know what he's getting into.
Oh yeah, it's Batman. It's never going to be an artsy like indie pick. I mean, it could be artsy, but
like I agree with Sam on that aspect of, he was saying that Twilight, the fans regarding Twilight were much more rabid, but those were teenage girls. These are adult men that
that get just as bad.
Are not that get almost nearly as bad. And I think if this movie sucks, like it's going to be a different kind of backlash. That's, I don't know. Look at what kind of happened with Brie Larson and the amount of backlash that she got from long-standing fans.
That's her own fault. That's her own fault.
I agree.
I don't blame. I think all of Brie Larson's backlash is warranted, and that's her own fault, because the way she decides to open her mouth and address things.
Yeah,
I think it's partially that, and I think it's partially her performance. I don't really care. Tom Cruise is a nut job, but I still enjoy his movies. Brie Larson, don't necessarily like love her as like a person. She kind of says stupid stuff sometimes, but her performance was bad. So that's my issue with that.
I hate that she can't see that her performance was bad. I hate that she's like, well, all you suck. I'm the only one that's sane around here. That's what drives me nuts. And I hope that doesn't happen with Robert Pattinson.
Well, the thing these celebrities need to realize too, when you're getting into a superhero movie, is this medium in the fans you're reaching out to. And at the end of the day, we don't care about your agenda and what agenda you're trying to push. We're there to see these characters come from the comic book pages to the big screen and to be entertained. So if you're going to try to use this big stage and this platform that this huge franchise is about to hand you to push your agenda, you're going to get backlash like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about something very awesome about Oscar Isaac's agenda. So Oscar Isaac was a big proponent of a Poe and Finn romance in the Star Wars sequels, but he says that the Disney overlords are to blame for it not happening. And I'm going to start real quick here and say maybe The Force Awakens built up a little bit of that, but I don't feel like the movie has ever built up a romance between these two characters. It was always friends. Now, had you built that up, that would have been fine. It wouldn't have bothered me. That's fine. But it never was built. So I've seen other articles from Oscar Isaacs talking about how, I was really trying to get a Poe and Finn thing in Rise of Skywalker. And I'm like, nothing was built up for that. Like, in the previous two movies. Granted, I also don't think another romance in Rise of Skywalker was really built up that well. But I don't know. For me, I think him blaming the Disney overlords is just kind of funny when it didn't ever really make sense.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. Like there was no, I don't know. They because they kind of in the Force Awakens too, they kind of make you think that maybe Finn has something for Rey, and then the last movie he has a thing for Rose, and in this movie, like, it just seems like he's into women. So,
that's
it
true.
just would have seemed incredibly forced.
The Force Awakens definitely indicated that he was pining after her, not ever Poe. Like, he was obsessed with Rey.
I just think it would have been incredibly forced.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have 6, 7, 8 movies to kind of dive into that, but
I don't think you need. I mean, you could do it in one movie. It wasn't ever established. Yeah,
what I'm saying though is that in the first 2 movies, him being interested in girls, and then all of a sudden now he's into dudes. Like, I just don't think one movie is enough to change the previous 2 movies. I don't know. With everything that was going on in this movie, It would have just seemed like kind of trying to stuff it in.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you
Sam,
think?
awfully
You want to
quiet.
see some Poe Finn action?
I was gonna let Sam go. He seems to be waiting there patiently. So
His eyes are telling a story.
I don't know. I feel like it's the wrong platform for this kind of thing. It's just, I mean, even the romance that they did insert seemed very forced, and I don't think Star Wars is even about that, especially not the sequel trilogy. It wasn't even about that.
I agree.
It was about who are you as an individual, and it didn't really explore any romance of any kind with any of the characters. Not in Force Awakens, not in Last Jedi, and so when certain things happened in the most recent movie, I was like, okay, well, it kind of comes out of the blue, but whatever. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care one way or the other.
What part are you referring to that comes out of the blue?
I don't want to be too spoilery, but I'm talking about Rey and
I was gonna say, isn't this Couch Crunchers? Isn't that what you guys do? Is spoil things?
We give spoiler warnings, though. Dang it. Okay, Kyle is cracking me up over here, though. He says, "Drinking game where you drink when you hear Lance's kids."
Those aren't even mine. Those are Sam's.
those are my kids. I've been trying to mute the mic when I'm not talking. That's what. I'm sitting here patiently. I'm waiting for my daughter to stop crying.
My kids are duct taped to chairs in the closet with duct tape over their mouths.
Hopefully no one believes you. Because that could be a real bad phone call and some knocks on your door.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My daughter's bedroom's right across the hall. So
the first time I heard your daughter, Sam, I almost went up to go yell at my kids. Like I thought it was my kids, and then I realized that it was only coming in here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am muting my mic when I'm not talking, but she's not being very respectful. I apologize.
She's not being respectful. Don't mind Kyle. Kyle just doesn't like noise. He just does not like noise. If he hears my keyboard once, he says clackety clackety clack.
But yeah,
well, he does have a point.
He does have it. He's right. You're right. He does. Even with my quieter
I feel
keyboard.
Like the Finn Poe thing is it's like a headcanon, a fan headcanon that there's a romance or a bromance going on between them. Sure, make that part of your headcanon. I don't care. I didn't think it was critical to the story one way or the other. And with the story as full as it was already, it seems like one more thing to shoehorn in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't see how it pushes the story forward whatsoever. Neither of them are the main focal points of that story, so why explore a relationship between the two?
Chad says every time you hear a keyboard, drink. All right, I'm ready. All right. I hope that's a couple vodkas.
I agree. I'm flub on this because, at what point, again, my biggest gripe with this movie is that this relationship built up off screen. Their friendships built up off screen. So you start this movie and they're all like these best tight knit group and all for one, one for all, Three Musketeers type thing. And it's that you don't see that relationship grow on screen. It's all done off screen. And I'm all for representation of the LGBTQ community in these things, but at what point don't you give them their own heroes to stand behind? Why do we have to transition established characters to fit a narrative instead of giving them their own hero to get behind or giving them their own characters to cheer on? Just like, is it really that big a deal and you have that much outcry where you've got to be like, oh, we're going to make these two characters gay now and have a romance just to fit a narrative?
Kyle says, shut up.
Oh, man. I agree, Matt, but I don't think Poe and Finn were like established characters or anything, right?
What do you mean established? Like,
I mean, honestly, you could have made Poe gay. Poe never showed any kind of like romanticism in the first two movies at all. He could have been, but Finn,
they don't have any backstory either, right? Like they're not in novels or anything like that, right?
They might be. I'm not sure. I'm a little less familiar with them as far as the new canon's concerned.
I'll be right back.
As far as I know, he's
No worries.
they were made by their Disney characters for these movies. So because we remember when we came into this, your previous novel canon is no longer canon. So anything that was in the novels previously is no longer valid. So these two characters were made up for these movies. But if you're going to establish them a gay, why don't you establish that right off the bat? That should have been established in Force Awakens, not the final movie in the trilogy. You're going to turn it to where they have some sort of relationship.
See, I think maybe not establishing it, but maybe putting some like inklings in there, because I think if you are right off the bat and you're like, I'm gay, you know what I mean? Then it seems forced.
Clearly, Finn had doomy eyes for Rey. Then he got Asian fever in The Last Jedi, and then it went back to doomy eyes for Rey for the most part in Rise of Skywalker. So
and the former stormtrooper that
the one that Lando Calrissian was very creepily with too. So
yeah, that was weird. That whole part was weird. I didn't know if he was going to say, "Well, I'm your father" or something like that. Like, it just seemed really weird.
Yeah,
I don't know. Doomy eyes, Kyle says.
Or he said, "Do you want to see my Millennium Falcon?" As he started to like unzip his pants.
You know, in the parody, I think we might get a Poe and a Finn romance. So, all right, well, let's move on from that. I'm going to let Matt and Lance talk about something very special, near and dear to their hearts.
I would have much rather seen a romance between the two stormtroopers on the Mandalorian this week on the speeder bikes than Poe and Finn.
Were those big actors?
Yeah, was Jason Sudeikis was one of them.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was like, I recognize these voices. I couldn't remember. Who was the other one? Do you know?
Adam Pally.
Yeah.
What's he from?
I miss?
He's more of a writer, I believe. I recognize his face, but The Mindy Project, Happy Endings. He's in a few things.
Yeah, Sudeikis was the one that was on the radio that kept making the radio calls and kept hitting Baby Yoda.
Yeah, people are apparently furious that the first thing that
as
came
soon
up,
as he did that, I was like, "What the frick are you doing to my Baby Yoda?" I mean, I know it's just a doll, but what the?
Oh, Adam Pally, he's from Happy Endings.
Yeah,
that's an awesome show.
Max just said that.
Oh, did I miss it? I was looking him up,
bro.
I missed
all
it.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, well,
hashtag Jason Sudeikis is over. It was trending on Twitter because of it.
I need to go take care of my wife. She's crying up there. She's being very disrespectful.
You gotta smack her.
I think he's joking. Everybody, his wife is pregnant, so if she was crying, I think he'd be a little bit more sympathetic.
She's not crying. I'm just making a joke about Sam having to walk off and Lance turning his screen off every 30 seconds.
See what you have to look forward to?
I'm eating my dinner, so I don't want to disrupt the fans with my dinner.
Well, we're done with Fabriflubs. Our next topics were going to be the finale of Mandalorian, and Lance wanted to talk about Letterkenny, and so I'm going to let you and Matt, Lance, I'm going to let you guys talk about your nerddom Letterkenny real quick.
Well, that's also one of my top of the year, so
mine too.
Yeah. We'll talk about it for a minute because I need to pee.
Oh gosh. No, I don't want to talk about it yet. Hold it. No, but what did you guys
so unprofessional.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I don't even know what it's about.
Okay, so Letterkenny,
even find it.
Letterkenny's on Hulu. The 8th season just dropped 2 days ago, right, Matt?
Yesterday.
Matt and I binged the hell out of it. We watched it already. And it's a Canadian comedy about, it's kind of in the same vein. What would you compare it to, Matt?
Oh, man.
It almost seems like very like skit driven, like almost like SNL skits, except it's the same skit, like it's the same characters. Like it's weird. I don't know how to.
The one that comes to mind is Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of like connection there, but it is like Trailer Park Boys almost.
It's like the same dudes, but they just find themselves, or Reno 911, where it's the same people.
Yeah.
They just have different situations they find themselves in.
Except that the humor's different than Trailer Park Boys, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Matt?
Yeah, it is. And it's not, I mean, it's got the same like humor and as far as like the drugs or how drugs are treated and stuff goes as Trailer Park Boys, but it's not, it's a little bit different. I can't try to like, that's what keeps going to mind is Trailer Park Boys, but I can't figure out how to differentiate it right now.
But
okay.
I've watched very little of it, and it's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, for
It's
a while
essentially-
you couldn't watch it here. Like for a while, it was just because it's a Crave, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Crave TV original, and Hulu just got the rights like what, a year or two ago?
Yeah.
So you couldn't watch it here; it was only in Canada. So all we had to go off of was like YouTube clips.
Well, it started as a Twitter page, and where because the show centers around a small town called Letterkenny of 5,000 people, and the headline is this is a Letterkenny. The town of Letterkenny have a population of 5,000, and these are their issues. So it's like the small town and the issues in small town life, and it started as a Twitter page where they would just write funny things about small town living on there, and it snowballed to a YouTube series where they had short YouTube clips, and then it got picked up and turned into a 30-minute TV show.
And now it's a Hulu original, right?
Now it's and then Hulu bought it and signed it for say 6 seasons, which is 2 years for them. So yeah.
So 6 seasons in addition to the 5 or whatever they already had?
Well, no. So it's So season 6 was their last season before Hulu bought them. So 7 and 8 are the first 2 seasons for their Hulu partnership.
So they're still guaranteed 4 more seasons.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Dude, but what's funny is
busy.
Oh yeah.
They're filming it all year.
So I'm watching it and I binged this new season and I was kind of like going through withdrawals, and it turns out there's one season of a cartoon series on Hulu called Letterkenny, which is basically all these actors as cartoons but as children. And I was laughing my butt off, dude. So it's like all of them meeting and stuff, and I think it's all the same actors doing the voices.
Okay. I have to interrupt. Chad just said something blasphemous, and Matt, you best not be stepping on my man.
Wait,
because
what?
Matt says,
what?
Matt better not be creeping on Max's bromance. That shit could get violent, and it could. I'd go straight on fisticuffs.
Am I missing something here?
If you're trying to get in on Lance, man.
Wait, I don't understand I don't see what was said.
It doesn't matter. He's just alluding to the fact that Matt and Lance are becoming so similar.
All I see is Kyle saying, I can't tell Matt and Lance apart anymore. One has pops behind him. I
didn't take any offense into that.
Thanks, Chad.
I'm not offended. It's a joke.
No, Chad just didn't hear the part where Max and Lance are having a baby together.
Oh, yeah. He missed the beginning of the show.
So Quantum Kyle's asking what we're talking about today. We're actually talking about Mandalorian season finale and our favorite movies, TV shows, and games of the decade and the year.
There's too many Kyles in the chat now.
Sam, did you watch our last episode, Sam?
No, I didn't. I missed
Max
it. I'm sorry.
Apparently thought that Quantum Kyle and Kyle from Absolute Geek were the same person.
Oh, Quantum Kyle was this great guy that we met at Phoenix Comic-Con. He was really active member in our what did you call them? Panels.
Yeah.
And gave us a lot of great content. And he also kept things spicy in the non-18 plus superhero Tinder.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But it was shocking to hear that Matt thought they were the same person.
Well, he wasn't here. That he could be forgiven for not knowing that.
Sorry, I live in Colorado. I'm our Colorado office. Hey, so let's talk about the Mandalorian finale. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
And how Baby Yoda got punched several times and justice was brought upon the dealers of said punches. What did you guys think? So what?
Why didn't Yoda just or Baby Yoda just protect himself with the Force?
I don't
He was
feel like
awake.
he doesn't seem to protect himself very much. He usually protects others.
So he's selfless.
Well, I mean, there was
I think
time.
I think he's got a sub dom fetish, and he just likes to be submissive.
He's a child. Oh man,
He's 50. He's not a kid.
he is
He's
a
50.
child. He's a child. We know what full-grown, whatever they're called, look like, and that's not it. He's definitely a child.
Well, they established that he's 50 years old, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and we know that Yoda was about 900 years old when he succumbed to Force death. So, yeah, so he's hitting his, tweener years, I guess you could say.
That's why he was getting hit, so he bit back because he thought the guy liked it. He thought that's what they were into. And the game just didn't go very far.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Quantum Kyle brings up an interesting point, the black lightsaber at the end.
We didn't give our spoiler warning, but hey, spoilers. Yeah, that was freaking amazing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Darksaber from Star Wars lore, but it is very much a Mandalorian. It's like a Mandalorian weapon. It comes from their history and lore, and so seeing that show up in the final moments of the episode was freaking awesome.
It was used by a Mandalorian who trained as a Jedi, right? It goes back like old Republic days. Yeah,
it's super old. And it was in the Clone Wars, and it was in the Rebels. Sabine Wren, I think is her name. She used it often, and Chad says it's an epic Clone Wars tie-in as well as Rebels. It's an amazing weapon that's super cool. I'm very excited that they brought in the Darksaber, and I'm also very glad that they didn't kill off Moff Gideon, because I was starting to really be interested in him. I'm like, this is a cool villain, and I'm glad that he survived, and we're going to get to see more from him.
Yeah, I was surprised that half his face wasn't melted off.
Yeah.
In that crash.
Yeah. Which, by the way, dude, how the Mandalorian took that out was awesome. That was super cool. Like him rocketing up into the air, using his little grapple to grapple onto the tie, flying around on it.
Okay, but correct me if I'm wrong. He said he didn't have any more explosives.
Did he?
He said he didn't have any more charges. That's why they couldn't get into the sewer grate. Where did he get those charges?
Yeah, that's exactly what
You're
he said.
Right. You're right. Ah, that's true. I wonder where
he lied.
You know what, though? You know what? He probably... I think you could make an easy argument that he restocked when they were in that underground area. That's where he got the jetpack. He got new weapons there. I think you could easily argue that he restocked his explosives at that point.
Yeah, except for I didn't see any munitions in there. All I saw were the helmets and armor pieces of the dead Mandalorians.
I don't know.
Time for a rewatch.
That is a good point.
Which kind of irks me too, because for a warrior race and these great warriors, they all just got wiped out, except for one of them when they got in that ambush by
stormtroopers.
Yeah,
Stormtroopers who we had just
seen.
Couldn't hit anything. They had terrible aim.
That was hilarious. Them trying to shoot that thing like 10 yards away, couldn't even get close. I didn't like that either. I was like, what? They all got killed by a bunch of stormtroopers? Like, that didn't... yeah, I thought that was stupid as well.
You guys are over here talking Darksabers and charges, and I want to know where they get their hair gel in Star Wars, because this dude flipping around and crashing, he gets out and he doesn't have a hair out of place. He's still slicked back, ready to go.
That's right.
That's what I want to know, is where they get the hair gel.
Well, hey, he's a Moff, man. They got money.
I want to know what you guys think about Mando, or them showing Mando's face.
I liked that.
I didn't like that at all.
Really? I mean, to be fair, Pedro Pascal doesn't look as bad as the Mando.
I wish they would have avoided showing his full face, and maybe just shown the helmet come off, but then keep his face obscured, and then just show it like maybe the part of the scalp that was getting treatment. But I didn't want to see his face.
Yeah. So Chad just said in the chat he recashed up underground. The Mando girl specifically told him to restock.
That's what I thought. I remember that.
Okay, there it is.
I thought it was dumb that they shower their face.
I didn't have a problem with them removing the helmet because they made such a big deal about him never taking his helmet off the entire time. And he's like, I can't take my helmet off around a living thing. And the robot says, like, I'm not alive. So,
which was pretty predictable.
But I am.
That.
The audience is. That's like panned away.
And I know what Pedro Pascal looks like. And even when he took his helmet off, I was still like, kind of put back for a minute.
Like, maybe respect his religion. Not show us his face.
I can see what you're saying though, Sam. Like they could have like shown a clip of, he takes his helmet off and then you see from behind the IG's like back, and maybe his shoulder could have been blocking the face and you see him applying the gel, but you don't see the face. I see what you mean. I don't mind seeing his face. I'm kind of like with you, Matt, though. Like they took off the helmet and I know what Pedro Pascal looks like, and I was, whoa, what the heck?
They should have kept true and went full like Deadpool with it, and he takes the helmet off and he's got like a Hayden Christensen stapled on, like cut out from Entertainment Weekly or something.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been a harder shot to not show his face and then see what the robot was doing to him, I guess. Because I think that was the point, was to show like the gel stuff. And
now you're making it sound dirty.
That didn't matter at all. The robot explained exactly what he was doing while he was doing it. They could have shown anything. They could have shown anything. The robot could still do the voiceover saying, I'm applying this back to gel and you're going to be fine.
So I just noticed something. And if you haven't seen Kingsman 2, then you're not going to get this joke. But this is the second time that Pedro Pascal had a really bad brain injury, and they used some like magical gel to heal his brain.
It's typecast.
It's like Sean Bean, who gets murdered in every show he's ever in.
Yeah, he's typecast.
Which is
brain injury guy.
Because I love that actor.
Brain injury guy.
I did think it was weird that they had applied the back to gel or whatever, and then like he was kind of good. I thought that was a little odd, but whatever. It was super cool to see him back in action. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I liked how Mando like all of a sudden started liking droids. I don't know.
He doesn't. He just likes
that droid. That's true. He likes
for saving his life. And even then, like I think he still didn't like trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only likes droids voiced by Taika Waititi.
I only like droids voiced by Taika Waititi.
Hey man, why am I blanking on his name? Alan Tudyk is still the best droid in all of Star Wars.
But Alan Tudyk sucked as Iago. So
okay.
Well, no one's talking about Iago.
Joker too. In my opinion, he sucks as the Joker in the Harley Quinn show too.
He can suck at one thing and be good at something else. Show's hilarious.
The Harley Quinn show is hilarious. I just think he sucks as the Joker.
Yeah,
he's very Alan Tudyk, and not the Joker so much. Like it's almost like he's playing it like the character on the Doom Patrol. Why am I blanking on his name now? But he kind of plays it in a similar way.
But to bring it on back to the Mandalorian here, one thing I love about this show is just how quickly it gets memed. Within 30 minutes of the episode being out, it's already memed.
That's Disney executives.
Like
they already have it prepared.
You think so? Like the Carl Weathers thing. Have you seen that meme yet? Where he's telling Baby Yoda to do that thing with your hands.
Oh.
Things I tell my wife, hey, do that magic thing with your hands.
I have not seen that. No, it's definitely not Disney that's prepping those things. They didn't even have toys of the child ready.
Well, I think that was done for a reason. That was done because then it would have all leaked out that Baby Yoda was coming.
Yeah, I saw an article how much money they lost by not having toys. And it was astronomical.
They made 80% of the freaking box office this year. They're fine.
Yeah, but they would have wanted more money. Everybody wants more money.
You know, it keeps Disney United States of America away for a few more years, so I'm good with it. Yeah, but from start to finish, I thought this was a really solid episode. It might be the best episode in the season. The last episode was really good too, and episode 3 were really good. I would say that
Episode 3 is still my favorite.
3, 7, and 8 are definitely the best episodes. I'd like to give once we're done talking, I would like to give like our rating overall for the season out of 5, though. What other thoughts do you guys have about the episode? Anything else you guys wanted to touch on?
I think it did a really good job of paying off all of the promises that it made, and also setting up some more adventures to come.
Yeah, still a lot of open-ended questions, but that's okay. It's season 1. You expect open-endedness in a TV show.
And also, I will say that they did have real stakes. I mean, characters that we like, the Nick Nolte character. There were real stakes. So characters that we appreciated or that we sympathized with did meet some untimely ends, and it stuck. But it was cool to see that the payoff was there, and that most of the characters were able to make it through.
Yeah.
I still don't believe that those stormtroopers took out all those Mandalorians, especially how IG-11 was able to just ride in there and just wreck shop.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That seemed pretty cheap. Maybe they had. Well, I'm not gonna, armchair quarterback the riders, but you're right, Matt. It seemed cheap.
Yeah.
Unless they came in with like a massive army, like.
Well, unless we find out later that they all like de-armored to be able to escape or something, to where they're not seen, but
they wouldn't do that. That's not the way.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's not the way.
This is not the way.
I liked that Taika Waititi directed it. I love how much of a staple he's become at Disney already, just since 2017. You know, he did Thor Ragnarok, and now he's becoming so much more of a household name at Disney, and I love that. And I hope that he directs more. I think Jon Favreau has something wonderful on his hands with this. I think involving Taika Waititi is super smart. And all in all, it's got room for improvement, yeah, but solid first season, solid first show for Disney Plus.
I like Jon Favreau with this. I just hope that he always hits a point where he kind of drops off, and I hope that doesn't happen. Like with the Iron Man movies in particular.
Well, he only directed the first 2.
Yeah, and the second one was a shit show.
I liked the second one. I think the third one was a shit show.
The third one was awful.
The second one was bad with Whiplash.
Yeah, I liked that one. I thought it was
I wasn't a fan.
For Mickey Rourke.
And Lion King sucked, and he directed that. So I just hope that the wave doesn't,
Your hate
fall.
of Lion King is higher than most people's hate of Lion King, I think.
I
Still
couldn't
made $1
stand
billion.
it. I was upset walking out of that theater.
It made $1 billion. Whether you liked it or not, it made a lot of money.
I think the voice actors were more of the problem with the Lion King than it was the movie itself.
And the reason
Lots of things made money that sucked.
The reason why they got Jon Favreau for the Lion King was because he did the Jungle Book.
And the Jungle Book was good.
Yeah. And
like Sam
so
said.
he does these smaller projects that are like a passion project. And then I see what you're saying, Lance, because when they say, okay, do the same thing, but just do it with this, maybe he loses the passion because it doesn't have the novelty. So I see what you mean. I mean, he does do a lot of that, but he has some projects that are very, very good, but they're all kind of small. Chef is a very beloved show.
Oh, it's a great show.
And it's something that he just wanted to do on his own. It wasn't something anyone was asking him to do. He was the one that dug that up and put it together.
You're talking about the show or the movie? Because the movie's fantastic too.
The movie. I'm talking about the movie. Yeah.
So he's got a movie, and then he's also got his Netflix show called Chef. That's called The Chef Show, and that's where he's going around with the chef that inspired the movie Chef, and doing like a cooking
kind of like it's half cooking show, half travel log.
Yeah, I love that show. I'm excited for season 2 of that one.
I'm looking up his directing credits, and he has a couple stinkers on here.
Sure.
But he's the guy you call in to launch a franchise, apparently, because Marvel launched off of him, and now he could do it with Star Wars. So
he's launching their TV universe.
Relaunched off Star Wars. So
yeah, absolutely. I really like the guy. Not everything he's done is perfect, but I really like him. Let's move on. So Lance, you said Lion King is one of your least favorites of the year. Let's talk about our favorites of 2019. So, do you want to get us started, Lance?
Sure.
Are you going to
kind of already did it?
Honorable mentions, Lance? Are you going to go through every single honorable mention here? Because we could be here all night, and I don't know if I have enough battery for that. So
no. I only let me see.
We can mention the honorables, but let's not talk about all of them.
I just did that for the sake of, I was kind of getting my mind in a position that if you guys put any of my honorable mentions in your top, that I would have stuff to talk about.
All right.
So, well, how do you want to do this, Max? We didn't really decide are we going to each give our number 4s and then each give our number 3s, or how are we going to do that?
I didn't rank mine, other than.
Why don't we do the year first, and then everyone does their year, and then we'll go through and everyone does their decade.
And I did 5 because I was looking at your guys' list, and some of you had 5 and 1, some of you had 4, so I wasn't sure what number you were going for, so I went with 5 across the board.
Well, I can rank mine real fast. I'm not worried about it.
Mine are pretty much ranked already.
Well, and then I didn't pick any video games because I literally only played one video game this year, and it didn't even come out this year. So,
yeah, all right. Let's do this in the vein of our old top 5 lists. We're going to start with movies. I'll go ahead and start with my my number 4. And if you did
the year or the decade,
the year, okay. And if you did do a number 5, just go ahead and list your 5 and 4 together. So my number 4, and we don't have to talk about this because we already did, is Ad Astra. I really liked Ad Astra.
That movie was so boring.
That movie was fantastic. That's such a good movie.
I didn't watch it based off Sam's recommendation. I had tickets and I returned them.
Well, we don't need to beat that dead horse. We talked about it a lot. I love it. Sam hates it. That's okay. We can disagree. So what's your number 4 there, Sam?
Oh, I only did. Let's see.
This is crazy. I'm watching Max on the Google Drive change his stuff.
All right,
it's crazy, like in live action.
I would say my number 4 for the year. I haven't listed a number 4, but I can come up with a number 4 right now. Is Parasite, which is a Korean movie by the same guy who directed Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer was awesome.
It's about 2 families. Well, it's actually it's about 2 families in Korea. One is a very wealthy family, and one is a kind of a poor family. And the poor family, kind of one at a time, cons their way into jobs working for this very wealthy family. And the movie starts out it's almost like a comedy. But then once they've all installed themselves into this wealthy family's house, things suddenly take a left turn into very dark and violent territory. And it ends 180 degrees from where it started. Really, really crazy movie. Just barely came out in theaters here in November. But it's definitely worth a watch, called Parasite.
Is it in a foreign language or dubbed
or Korean, but they have it subbed.
That's interesting because I know you're big into movies and doing the movie mechanic thing and reviewing them and stuff. That's interesting that you've got it at number 4 because I've seen that at a lot of places number 1s.
Yeah, I had. I saw 2 movies that same day. Parasite was the second of 2 movies I saw that day, and I saw Richard Jewell earlier in the day. And Richard Jewell hit me in a certain way that I'll talk about later. But Parasite, Yeah, Parasite hit me in a different place than Richard Jewell, which I had seen earlier that day. So we could talk about, it just, as far as movies that kind of change the way that you perceive the world, Parasite was very interesting conceptually, and the story, I really enjoyed it, but it didn't hit me the same way Richard Jewell did. So unfortunately, I saw it the same day as Richard Jewell.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that Richard Jewell movie. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I want to.
It's not. Is it? Are the reviews? I want to say they haven't been that favorable, right? As far as it's a Clint Eastwood movie, right?
Yeah, Richard Jewell is Clint Eastwood.
As far as his other Clint Eastwood movies, they haven't been exactly favorable in comparison, right?
That's not my understanding. All the reviews I had seen said it was phenomenal, and when I saw it, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the thing is like, when you go see a story, it's about a transformation, right? And usually there's this looming threat, and so when it's based off real life, you don't always get the same kind of dramatic threat as
right
if it were made up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, hey guys, we're already an hour and 10 in, so for the sake of time, let's not talk too much until we get to our tops. How do you guys like that? So let's go to Matt, and then we'll go to Lance.
So I did, like I said, I did 5, so I'll do my 5 and 4 together. At 5, I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and at 4, I had John Wick 3.
Yay. Okay, Lance.
So my number 4 is Yesterday, the Beatles. Not really a biopic, but I thought it was just a fresh take on how to do a movie about music that everybody loves. So
yeah, there are lots of movies about selling albums this year, selling old albums.
Yeah, Rocket Man,
yes. The Boss, the Beatles had one. Queen.
Well, that was last year, but yeah, there was quite a few this year.
Yeah, I just think that in an age where everybody's doing biopics, that Yesterday was just kind of like a different take to do a movie about music.
What were you going to say?
Go ahead.
Biopics.
Biopic.
Yeah.
Biopic.
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm just like, wait, what? Biopic? What are you talking about?
You know what's funny? I say it the same way, Lance. You and I are together on this one.
You guys are together and everything. We established this already.
Biopic
Pretty sure I've heard it said biopic before, but I've also seen biopic. Now I'm like second guessing myself.
Yeah, I don't know. You say however you want.
Tomato, my man.
Yeah, you say however you want.
And biopic makes total sense.
Yes, it does. Biopic makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay.
It does.
My number 3 is John Wick 3. How about you, Sam?
Well, let's see. I put my number 3 as Dr. Sleep.
Okay. Matt?
I want to go see that one too.
My number 3 is Marriage Story.
That was a good one. That was a good movie.
That's the Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson one.
Yep. Yeah. Super impactful movie. I kept my list to more like sci-fi nerdy stuff because Marriage Story probably would have made my list too. There weren't rules, nothing wrong with putting it, but I was keeping mine more.
You're not going to shame me.
Is that a movie? Is that a movie my wife would like?
Trying to justify why he didn't put it on the list.
Yeah,
probably.
Right? Yes.
Is that a movie my wife would like, Max?
I think so. It is fairly sad though, so if she doesn't like sad. Kelsey was mad at me for making her watch it.
My wife wouldn't let me watch it because she didn't want to feel sad. That's
it nails divorce on the head. Like,
oh, it's about divorce.
It's about divorce, yeah, and it nails it right on the head.
It's intense. It's intense. It makes me think. I don't want to go through a divorce ever.
You don't. Been there, done that.
Which I never did, but yeah, no, it makes me even less so. Especially with a kid involved. Oof, so much worse.
Yeah.
So what's your number 3?
Peanut Butter Falcon, which was phenomenal.
Great movie.
Have you seen it, Sam?
I didn't see that one. I saw the other Shia LaBeouf biopic.
Boy?
Well, it's not really a biopic, but I saw the other Shia LaBeouf movie.
Honey Boy?
Honey Boy, about his relationship.
I want to see that so bad. I want to see that really bad.
It's coming to Amazon in February.
Heck yeah.
It was pretty good.
There we go. All right. Well, then I'll move on to my number 2, which is Avengers Endgame. I loved that movie. We'll keep going the same order.
That was my number 2 as well. Endgame.
That was my number 2.
Lance?
My number 2 is Joker.
Okay. Well, then let's just go on to Joker and we'll talk about it a bit because that's my number 1 movie of the year.
That was my number 1.
Well, there we go.
I liked Joker. The only reason it's not it was really hard to choose between my number 1 and number 2 because both of these movies like elicited very like excited, like an enthusiastic response from me when I was watching the theater. Like I was on the edge of my seat but the only issue with Joker is just I don't know how to say it. It was so dark that at points it made me uncomfortable.
I mean, I don't know that it was so dark. I feel like that's not fair to the movie. I didn't think it was any darker than a lot of other superhero movies. I thought it was pretty good, but it didn't speak to me in a way that it apparently spoke to you guys. But I enjoyed it, and I thought it definitely deserves to be in any top 10 list of movies on the year.
I see for Joker for me is not like it's some rewatchable thing. I've seen it twice, but like Endgame is definitely more of a popcorn flick. Like Endgame is fantastic. I loved it. And if I'm going based purely on like top action movie of the year, yeah, Endgame's probably it. I've watched it. I'm not even joking. I've probably watched it 20 times this year. I love Endgame.
Yeah, I saw it 11 times in theater.
I didn't see it that many times, but I've saw it probably 5 or 6 in theaters, and I've watched it a good 10 times since I've had it. So, and maybe more. And there's certain scenes I've watched a lot more than that, because anytime anyone comes to my house, they're like, hey, show me something in 4K surround sound. I go to the Captain America get Mjolnir scene, like every time. So Endgame is a more fun movie to watch, but if I'm looking at like the best movie...
Oh, hold on.
Joker.
Do you actually have people come to your house and be like, show me something in 4K surround sound?
They don't ask that. Max is just like, let me show you something in 4K surround sound.
I was saying, like, your neighbors come over for dinner and they're like, hey, show me something in 4K surround sound.
No, it's just the cops because his neighbors are constantly calling the cops on him for the sound.
Okay, Lance is somewhat right in that regard.
Matt, I spent a week at Max's house, and the first day he's like, oh, let me show you my new TV. I'm like, okay. And then the next day, oh, let me show you my new TV. I was like, dude, you showed me yesterday.
I'm surprised he finally untied you to let you go home.
Right?
Finally untied him.
Luckily, my wife was there, so she rescued me.
Well, Matt and I are on the same page with the best movie of the year. So what's your number 1 movie of the year, Sam? Ad Astra, right?
No, not at all. That doesn't deserve to be in any top 10 list. It's just Brad Pitt breathing. No, my number 1 movie of the year was Richard Jewell, and it's one of those things where I'm a lawyer, and Richard Jewell is about a guy who needs a lawyer, and it just really hit me in a very personal way. So Richard Jewell is a security guard who finds a bomb at the 1996 Atlanta Summer Olympic Games, and he's a hero, and he saved a lot of lives. But the FBI and the media portrayed him as the guy who actually planted the bomb, and the only friend he has in all of this is his lawyer. And I was like, oh my gosh. It brought up all these emotions about why I enjoy being a lawyer, and my Facebook review that I put out was that when the U.S. government, the media, the public, heaven and hell, and your own stupidity combine against you, the only thing between you and fiery damnation, it isn't the Avengers, it isn't Superman, it isn't the Pope or the saints. It's your lawyer. It's the only thing there to save you from imminent destruction.
They kind of have to, right? That's their whole job.
Well, it's not just a job; it's the calling, right? Like a lawyer in this movie is played by Sam Rockwell, who is he's so likable. Even when he plays bad guys, he's very likable.
That's true.
He was really good in Jojo Rabbit as a Nazi, like summer camp instructor, and as the villain in Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2, he was still very likable. And so when he plays this lawyer, he just gives it so much heart, so much compassion, and I immediately responded to that. And so Richard Jewell is something that spoke to me personally on that level, kind of reminding me of my own personal choices as being a lawyer. So that's my.
I need to go see this movie. It's in theaters now. I technically can.
It is.
Yeah, I was just looking at the theater. It's at AMC at 9:30. I might go.
See, Joker was a no-brainer for me, but it was between me up until I would say Christmas Eve. It was between Joker and then I had high hopes for Uncut Gems, and then I saw Uncut Gems and Joker hands down. Uncut Gems.
Oh yeah, I still haven't seen Uncut Gems. I was going to go see that.
Boring. The most boring movie. God.
Is it?
Yes. It was like Ad Astra. If at some point during the movie I go and I notice time and I'm like, man, I feel like I've been in this theater for like 9 hours. This movie just won't end.
That's how I felt about Ad Astra.
Yeah, it's so boring.
I think that's an A24 thing, man. The studio that did those, they're just very, very artsy and they don't speak to everybody.
Dude, the A24 movie that Jonah Hill did is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Which one?
I don't think it's A24. It's the director, because this director also did the Robert Pattinson movie Good Times, and it just
the
was
Safdie
like
brothers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. And like it's an exam when they're going and the anxiety is there, like you feel it, but just like there's so much lull in this movie that it's like it's just so boring. So boring.
So are all the emotional high points in the trailer?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
That's too bad.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, the hype around it was making it sound like it was going to be absolutely amazing.
Like I think Adam
Kyle
Sandler was better in Punch Drunk Love than he was in Uncut Gems. So
Punch Drunk Love is a fantastic movie. Love that movie. I wish Adam Sandler would do more serious roles. I think he's really good at it. And there's something to be said about comedians that go into serious roles because they usually knock them out of the park.
Spanglish
was a good one too.
I can't remember the name of the movie, but I think it was it Don Cheadle and him?
Oh, the September 11th one. I know which one you're talking about.
That was a great movie. Came out in like 2008.
With Adam Sandler?
Yeah, that one was real good. His family died in 9/11, I believe, and he was dealing with it, crazy amounts of depression, and it was just a really good movie.
He constantly redecorates his kitchen and then destroys it and starts over again. And it's like him like trying to piece back together his life. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up on IMDb so I can give it credit. Mute my mic so there's no clackety clacks.
But you were thinking of
Reign Over Me.
Yes, Reign Over Me. Mid 90s is the Jonah Hill movie you're talking about.
Oh, mid 90s is so good. It's fantastic, and it reminded me of my own childhood. Mine wasn't skateboarding. We BMX'd, but like I come from a very strict Christian household, and then I kind of branched out as far as when I met my friends and everything like that, and just kind of saw what else was out there. And it spoke to me on so many different levels. That movie is awesome. I wasn't as bad as that kid. That kid.
No, of course not. You were an instant just nailing everything, weren't you?
Right. He's like 12 years old and he's having sex with like 17-year-old girls and stuff like that. That was not me.
Oh, I thought you okay. All right, I thought you meant like as far as like his ability to skateboard. I'm like, yeah, you're out there hitting flips and grindies and
all right. Well, let's move on to TV. But real quick, I know Lance, you had a ton of honorable mentions. So you want to just spout those off real fast?
I'll just let me see here if there's one specifically that I want.
Oh, we didn't even get to your number one, but it's Endgame, right?
My number one is Endgame, and I think that's the difference between Joker and Endgame for me was the sheer rewatchability.
Yeah.
Of Endgame, and the I think Joker rests on the performance of Joaquin Phoenix, and I think Endgame has a lot of memorable performances in it, more than just one star. Like I thought Chris Evans was good. I thought Robert Downey Jr. was good. Like I just think it was, as far as what I look for in a movie that I can watch over and over again, Endgame had it all. So that's my stripped down version. Right. Specifically with honorable mentions, I want to talk about Us.
Dora the Explorer.
I don't know if you Dora the Explorer is fantastic, and I know Sam, you liked it.
I did. I really enjoyed it, and I saw it again recently, and I still really enjoyed it.
It's a shame that people wrote it off just because of the content of it being Dora the Explorer, but it's a fantastic movie that I've seen twice already. I've watched it both times with my kids, and they love it. And but I want to talk about Us, because that came out this year, right?
Yeah. Have
you guys seen it?
No.
You've not seen Us?
I saw it. I liked it.
You saw it with me, Max.
Yeah, it was fine.
So just as far as horror movies are concerned, I thought Us was just a fresh take on a horror movie, and I think Jordan Peele is trying to do things that are risky, but he's getting a payoff on them. So I thought Us was fantastic.
Okay. Well, sounds good. Let's move on to our TV shows, and like with movies, let's do our first three quicker. So for me, my number 4 is Man in the High Castle. Sam?
Oh, okay. Let me pull it up here. So my number 3 was One Piece. One Piece this year was in Wano country, which is Japan. I thought it was really good.
Okay.
I had at number 5 The Boys, and at number 4 Watchmen.
Ooh, yeah, The Boys. Good one.
The Boys is a good one. It's hard to pick TV shows. There was a lot of good TV shows this year. My number 4 is Letterkenny.
All right.
Do your number 3 too. Let's just get caught up to 3.
My number 3 is Supernatural.
All right.
Mine was Umbrella Academy.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
So was mine.
All right, number 2.
Okay.
Well, what's your number 3?
He already did it.
All right, I only picked 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then number 2, Mandalorian.
Same.
I went with an anime about volleyball that surprised me. It was called Haikyuu, sports anime that I wasn't expecting, and it was really, really good.
Okay.
Did you say sports anime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get cultured, Lance.
All right, Matt, what about you?
My number 2 is Mandalorian.
All right. Almost a clean sweep on that one. All right. Well, then my number 1 is Doom Patrol. What a fantastic show. I loved Doom Patrol. It was just so well written, well acted. It was funny. It was emotional. It was the full package. Like, it's the best thing on DC Universe, in my opinion. Super good.
Did you watch Swamp Thing? Was that any good before they canceled it?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. Did you watch it, Matt?
I did. Very forgettable, though.
Swamp
I
Thing.
almost forgot it even came out.
It's not amazing, but it was. I think
Yeah.
it's worth a watch.
All right, is it my turn?
Yeah.
My number 1 for TV, Hot Ones.
Nice.
I know it's a YouTube series, but it's an interview show. And this year they probably did 3 seasons this year. And their guest list was just off the charts. So fantastic. They had Scarlett Johansson. They had Paul Rudd. They had Nick Offerman. They had Aubrey Plaza. They had Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, Aubrey Plaza.
They had so many great people. They had Shaquille O'Neal, Idris Elba. I mean, just high caliber interviews. Paul Rudd and Gordon Ramsay were some of the funniest interviews I've seen. If you haven't started watching Hot Ones, I don't know what's wrong with you. You should definitely be watching Hot Ones. It's so good.
I watch them when you share them.
Yeah, they're really, really good. I don't always share them because they say no words, and I don't want my mom knowing I watch that kind of thing.
The Shia LaBeouf one is really, really
Oh,
good too.
Shia LaBeouf was such an amazing interview. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, exactly.
He's just a fascinating person. I watched him on Ellen because I was just watching clips of Shia LaBeouf, and he's fascinating on everything he's on. He's just a good interview. But those are all great guests. But do they really beat our guest list from 2019, Matt?
What can I say? I'm honored.
Is it my turn?
I
Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead, Lance.
Matt, go.
My number one was Letterkenny because like that comedy, it not enough people know about it yet. I've watched all the seasons multiple times. It delivers on multiple fronts for me. It's got that rewatchability effect that not a lot of other shows this year have given me. And it never gets old. Like the jokes, every time I rewatch it, I pick something new up. So Letterkenny's number one for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it here soon. I have my buddy Mike to thank for introducing me to Letterkenny, and then Matt and I, after we were constantly texting each other through this last season that just debuted 2 days ago, and just sending memes back and forth and different phrases and stuff. Like it reminds me of what when I was a kid, Anchorman came out, and Anchorman, like the I Love Lamp and all that stuff, were just quotable things, and that's what Letterkenny is. It's just quotable. Everything they do in there is just ridiculous. But my number one is Mindhunter. I don't know if you guys have seen Mindhunter.
I started watching it. I watched season 1 a few weeks ago. Awesome
It's
show.
The performances have to be the best that I've ever seen on TV. Just as far as it's also coming from a place of like not all of it is true, because I think the 2 FBI agents are kind of
They're fictional.
They're not fictional from a sense where like they're like multiple non like real people merged into, you know what I'm saying? Like they take like 2 or 3
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say you just said they're multiple non-real people, so that means they're fictional.
they're multiple real people.
Okay,
Like their
Real-
personalities, and they invent them.
Create a fictional person.
Yeah, so
They're fictional stand-ins for real people.
Right. But the specifically, and it's not even them, like they're the main stars of the show, but the guest actors that they have come on playing the serial killers. One in particular is they show him in season 2. Ed
Kemper?
Yeah.
Ed Kemper, and I've only seen season 1. Amazing performance. Holy crap.
His performance is so eerie. Oh, I have a little bit of a cold, but his performance is so like haunting, and just it, and he channels this just disturbing man that really existed. And it's like they at the end of the show or something like that, or no, I think if you go on YouTube, they'll show the side-by-side comparisons of his performance in the show and the actual interviews, and it's like it's uncanny how similar they are. It's like he just studied these interviews for hours, and it's disturbing. There's a scene in season 1 that where they're interviewing a guy that killed women and has a fetish for shoes. And he goes in the corner while they're interviewing them, and he does something very unsavory to this pair of shoes that the FBI agents bring him as kind of like a payment for him talking to them. And the whole premise of the show is it's before an age where the term serial killer was a known word. Like, so they invented the term serial killer to identify these murderers that are serial killers. And just watching the involvement of the way they study these killers and try to develop a system to find out who, like profilers, to find out who these people are before they kill again is fascinating. It's just a great show.
I agree. It's a really, really cool show. All right. Well, our next topic for that was going to be video games, and I know only some of us have played enough games this year to do this. So, Sam, did you have any games really from this year or no?
I just watch a lot of people play Mario Maker 2. I really enjoy watching people play Mario Maker 2. It's a lot of fun.
All right. And Lance, did you have anything for 2019 for games?
No, because the last game I played was Spider-Man, so that came out last year, right?
All right. Well, then this will be Matt and I. So I'm going to start. My number 4 game for this year was Destiny 2 Shadowkeep.
I had Days Gone at number 5 and Destiny 2 Shadowkeep at number 4.
Days Gone.
I want to play Days Gone. I really want to play Days Gone. Is it worth it? Obviously, it's worth it, Matt.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
It's very repetitive, but it's fun.
It is, yeah.
But right now, you can probably get it on sale for $20. Definitely worth $20. All right, number 3 for me was Gears 5.
Number 3 for me was Apex Legends.
Okay. 2 for me was Control.
2 for me was the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Okay. And then I think we both had the same number 1, Jedi Fallen Order.
Hands down, one of the best games to come out this year, yeah.
Well, if it's your number 1, isn't it the best game to come out this year?
Yeah. Well, like I went back and forth between that. And Resident Evil 2, just because of like I got more replayability out of Resident Evil 2. But it's a game I've played multiple times, so where I was pleasantly surprised by Jedi Fallen Order, and I was happy that I was one of the lucky ones to finish the game before the TV ad spoiled the ending.
Oh yeah, dude! I luckily didn't see that TV ad because that would have been really disappointing.
I think my rating would be much different if I would have had the ending spoiled for me.
Yeah, the ending was pretty legit. Yeah, it was awesome. We've talked about Jedi Fallen Order on this show enough, so I'm not going to harp on it much. So let's move into our best of the decade. And again, let's just do real quick our 4, 3, and 2, and then we'll talk more about our number 1s. So we're going to start with movies. We already talked about it, so we definitely don't need to talk more. My number 4 of the decade, I think, is Joker. I think it was a really, really well done movie. Sam?
I didn't pick a number 4, but if since I'm on the spot, I'm going to say number 4 is going to be Justice League.
Oh gosh.
No, Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is definitely number 4.
Oh my god. Oh man. You're killing us over here, dude. That's okay. We did have a text chain where we said we were only going to pick our number 1, and then like
it's fine. I'll just turn my honorable mentions into my top 4.
Okay. Well, we got all confused here. All right. Well, what about you there, Matt?
So number 5, I had Baby Driver. Number 4, I had A Ghost Story.
Oh, Baby Driver's so good. I love Baby Driver.
I'm not familiar with The Ghost Story.
If you've not seen A Ghost Story, it's got Casey Affleck in it. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
he doesn't say a word and he's under a sheet the entire time, but it is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, 2017.
I prefer my Casey Affleck's under a sheet.
Huh.
Speaking of Casey Affleck, I don't know if it counts as this decade, but he did a movie called Gone Baby Gone that's just phenomenal that Ben Affleck actually directed.
He was in Manchester by the Sea, which was a fantastic movie also.
Yeah, that one's really good too.
He also did that movie where he got lost in the desert. You guys remember that one? Casey Affleck hiking through the desert, lost?
No,
I don't know that one.
Played as a thriller.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I'm looking up.
Come on, you guys serious? You guys are all talking about Casey Affleck under a sheet. I thought this was in the same
I've probably
movie.
seen it. It's just not ringing a bell.
What's the movie? Or do you not know the name?
I'll look it up right now.
All right. Well, Lance, what's your number 4?
My number 4 would be Hacksaw Ridge.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Mine, my number 3 is Logan. What a great, great movie.
My number 3 is an anime movie called Your Name.
All right.
Is that a Studio Ghibli one?
No.
It's
the director's name is Makoto Shinkai.
Because I've just started seeing ads for it. I thought that was Studio Ghibli in that realm. But my number 3 was Birdman.
That was a cool movie.
My number 3 was Inception.
Okay, that's my number 2. One of my favorite movies of ever. I love that movie. Sam?
My number 2 was let me find it. John Wick. I got to tell you, the movies that I picked, I feel like they transformed movies.
Okay.
Your Name was like the height of animation technology in the decade, and I feel like John Wick transformed action movies. Action movies after John Wick are much different than action movies before John Wick.
I think, yeah. I think
He's not wrong.
I think you're right. I think even stuff like The Mandalorian was influenced from some of the action in John Wick.
My number 2 was Joker.
Okay. Lance, what's your number 2?
Let me see here real quick. My number 2 is Get Out.
Really? You held it in that high regard? Okay.
I love Get Out.
It is a really good movie.
And I watched it really late because I thought it was, from what I heard, probably from some closed-minded people, that it was like incredibly racist. But I was pleasantly surprised. And Jordan Peele has quickly become one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know why people would say it's a racist. I think that's a weird thing to say, but
Just the premise of white people, this plantation, because they basically turned these black people into slaves, essentially.
oh, okay. I guess you're right. There are definitely racial tones. All right.
Update on the Casey Affleck movie. It's called Jerry, Gerry.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
I'll have to watch that.
All right. Well, my favorite movie of the decade, and potentially my favorite movie ever, is Batman v Superman.
Really?
No, I do really like that movie, but no. Interstellar. I love Christopher Nolan. That's why 2 of his movies are on my top list of the decade. And Interstellar, I don't know what it is about it. I think I just enjoy space movies, which is why Ad Astra is on my top for the year. But Interstellar is it's such a thought-provoking movie. The music in it by Hans Zimmer is fantastic. Like, Hans Zimmer is my favorite composer for movies, and there's just something so good about that movie. Why am I forgetting his name? All right. Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey offers such a great performance. Jessica Chastain as well. Like, it's just a really good movie. I love it. I can rewatch it so much. I made my wife watch it with me like 6 months ago, and she hated me for it because she hates space movies. Like, space scares her. So,
man, I would love to watch Interstellar with you, Max. That was a good flick. I really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, it's a good one. What's your number 1 of the decade, Sam?
My number 1 is 2012's Avengers. Again, I feel like movies before were different, and movies before were one way, and movies after the Avengers were another way. And once the Avengers came in, it was such a big hit. Every studio wanted to kick off their own cinematic universe.
That's true.
You would probably argue that none of them have been able to do it, if you really think about it. DC tried to kick off a universe and it failed. Dark Universe, which was NBC's like The Mummy, and everything like that. So what Avengers did is truly special as far as a interconnected franchise.
I mean, Star Wars is a 40-plus-year-old franchise, but it's not the same thing.
No, because Star Wars is kind of like just sequels upon sequels upon sequels, whereas Marvel is like different stories that all come together for one.
Yeah.
I would argue that Star Wars now is starting to do that, as far as The Mandalorian being like a side story and stuff, but Marvel really pioneered it. But you could argue that Kevin Smith did it first.
What, Clerks,
Jay and Silent Bob, Chasing Amy, all these movies are kind of like in one universe, and they all have their separate stories.
Okay.
But obviously they're not as large because his whole thing's called a Skewniverse, and they're all connected in some way. But
Yeah, through Jay and Silent Bob.
through Jay and Silent Bob.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of that overarching art universe thing, but nothing is nearly as impactful as what Avengers did.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about you, Matt?
My number one was Her, the Joaquin Phoenix.
Do you know I've never seen that?
Are you serious?
I did watch Jexy though.
Her is
which
a fantastic movie.
Which is basically Her but satirical.
So
Have you guys seen
so not the same.
It's the same. Like it's the same thing but a comedy. Like it's so Her is basically him falling in love with his
Siri.
phone, right? Siri.
Well, he falls in love with an operating system, but I mean, that's just what it is on the surface. There's so much more to that movie than just that. The human emotions, the way they look at technology in that movie, and relationships, and depression, and just the way everything is held and looked at in that movie is fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend watching it. I figured a film buff like you would have seen it already.
I've been meaning to watch it, and in fact, when it first came out, I wanted to watch it. But Jexy is the same thing, except his Siri falls in love with him and totally ruins his life.
So it's more like 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah, but stupid. I laughed a lot, but it's a stupid movie.
All right. So, what is your number one of the decade, Lance?
Whiplash. So, Whiplash is Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. And as a musician, that movie really spoke to me because when I was playing in the band with my buddies, 10 years ago, the amount of dedication and stuff that we put into it, like I played with bloody fingers and we practiced 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, so there was a lot of time and energy put into fine tuning all of our songs. So the movie basically plays on the same thing with Miles Teller going to Juilliard and trying to become this amazing jazz drummer. And J.K. Simmons is his instructor, who's just an a-hole. And it spoke to me on many levels. And the performances in there are just amazing. I think it solidifies Miles Teller as a fantastic actor. He's done stuff since then. The one with Jonah Hill comes to mind. I don't remember, the War Dogs, I think it's called, where he is just consistently coming out with a good performance after a good performance. And Miles Teller, I think we're going to talk about him the same way that we talk about Shia LaBeouf now in a few years.
And then he puts out Fantastic Four, and all of his credibility goes down the drain.
Well, Michael B. Jordan's that same way. Like Michael B. Jordan does fantastic performances, but he did Fantastic Four, and it just kind of seemed like they all phoned it in. So,
yeah. Well, I need to see.
Have you guys seen Whiplash?
I haven't. I need to.
No.
It's on.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I've got access to it. I just need to watch it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really artsy movie, but I enjoyed it. I probably watched it 3 or 4 times already.
Nice. Well, let's move on to our TV shows. My number 4 is going to be Daredevil. Loved that show. Fantastic.
I keep forgetting we have other categories to go through. Okay. My number 4 is again, I don't have one. What did you just say? Daredevil?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Daredevil also. I thought that was great. Thank you for suggesting Daredevil.
All right.
My number 5 is This Is Us, and my number 4 is Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Oh, dude, Better Call Saul, so good. Oh, I love that one.
I haven't been able to get through it. I watched the first season and stopped watching.
That's where your problem is. You got to get through the first season, and then once they start adding more Breaking Bad references and characters, it gets so much better.
Well, plus he's such a good lawyer. Once he passes the bar and he gets his license, it gets really, really good.
My number 4 is The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, I love that show. That's such a good show. Do you know every episode has like ghosts just hanging out in the background that don't do anything. They don't interact with anybody. They're just hanging out back there.
it's crazy because I watched it, I didn't notice any of them. Like, and then I read that and rewatched it, and it's almost like haunting.
Ubiquitous. They're everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. Every episode has like 5 or 6 that are just hanging out in the background, and it's friggin' creepy.
The one scene that I was like, wait, are there more ghosts in here than I was aware of? Was when the dad goes down in the cellar and he's digging that wall out, and you see the lady's face like right behind him. There's like a ghost lady right behind him. And I was like, she's gonna kill him. And nothing happened. She didn't do anything. And I was like,
right.
Wait. And then every scene after that, I was like, there's a ghost, there's a ghost, there's a ghost, there's a ghost, there's a ghost. Yeah.
The one that was most chilling that I didn't even notice the first time, they're like in the kitchen, and there's this big glass window in the kitchen, and there's just a dude right there, and he's the focal point of the scene, and he's just standing there, and I did not notice it the first time. Like, how they hide these people is masterful, and it's just a great show. It's a fantastic show. I'm really excited for.
There's like a carpenter on the staircase.
Yep.
They just walk past them. It's like, what?
Yeah. He's the clock. He fixes the clock, I think. That's what. Yeah, he's a clock guy. But that show is fantastic, and season 2 is supposed to come out this next year.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that was your number 4, right, Lance?
Yes.
Well, my number 3 of the decade is Doom Patrol. Just loved it. Sam?
Excellent. One Punch Man.
All right.
Fantastic. Master of None.
Oh, I need to watch that with Aziz Ansari.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to watch that. My number 2 is a sitcom. It's Superstore.
That's a fun
Or
show.
number 3. Sorry. My number 3 is Superstore.
All right, my number 2. Now we're getting into the real meat. My number 2 is an amazing show. It almost got my number 1 spot, but for one reason it didn't. And probably it should be my number 1 spot, but I've got some bias. Number 2 is Breaking Bad.
I'm going to put season 1 of Stranger Things as my number 2.
Okay.
I have Game of Thrones at number 2.
My number 2 is Mindhunter.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go for my number 1 now that Matt just said, Game of Thrones. And I wanted to put Breaking Bad above it because Breaking Bad is probably it is a better show. And I know Game of Thrones season 8 is divisive, hence why it wasn't on my top of the year, because it's not the best. But the show as a whole is so good. And my bias that I mentioned is that I love fantasy. So that's why it's my favorite show of the decade. The first several seasons are extremely good. And I don't think that a bad season or 2 takes it off for me. Really? So that's why it's my...
Can we just take a minute and mechanic the series finale? I would like to get Max and Matt's take on rewriting the series finale or even the full 8th season so that it was more satisfying.
Yeah, definitely could be more satisfying. That's for darn sure.
So my take is I feel like the White Walker invasion was too short and it was too soon. I mean, the whole idea was that the Game of Thrones was dividing all of the different families and the different nation states in Westeros, right? And because they were divided, they wouldn't be able to fend off the coming invasion, right?
Yeah.
And then when they finally got to it, there was no payoff to that threat. So I would have done, let's have Daenerys Targaryen. She wins the Game of Thrones. She takes the throne, but she has to kill so many people to do it that by the time the White Walkers show up, there's nobody left to defend her and her people, and the White Walkers just wipe them out. What do you think?
I hate that. No. No. 8 seasons just for the bad guys to win? I love bad guys, but no, that would have been really unsatisfying.
But would you have been expecting it?
No. I also wasn't expecting Bran to be the freaking king of Westeros. What the?
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was stupid. That was awful. I wanted Jon Snow on the throne, although Daenerys would have been fine too. I do like your idea, Sam, I agree with you that like the battle against the White Walkers was definitely too slow. I agree, or too quick. I mean, like it just kind of was one big fight, and there was so much buildup, and it just kind of was there and then gone.
Well,
And
here's why I disagree with you. I've thought about giving the fans a nice ending wrapped up in a bow, but that's not really the Game of Thrones style, right? The Game of Thrones style is nobody is safe, and they don't pull any punches. The people that you love, they get murdered in grisly fashion. And it's about whoever's the most ruthless is the one who ends up on the throne. But that has to have a consequence, right? So in order for the morality of the show to pay off, the most powerful, the most grisly have to win, and that the most powerful, in my view, are the White Walkers. They're the ones who are the punishment for all the wickedness that goes on in Westeros. And if I understand correctly, the idea is that it's kind of an allegory for climate change, and that if we don't get our act together, climate change is going to come marching down and kill all of us. I don't know, Matt, what's your take?
I mean, I'll just real quick. I mean, my number one was Breaking Bad, and it was between, and this is why I put Game of Thrones too, so it fits into this perfectly. It's like you said, Breaking Bad, in my opinion, had no bad seasons, and the ending was perfect.
Perfect.
Endings matter, and that's what they don't seem to get in TV anymore. Is endings matter, and right. the final two seasons of Game of Thrones were atrocious. They were bad. And the ending, look, for the final season of Game of Thrones, I would keep the war for Winterfell and throw everything else out. Because, like I said, the White Walker War was too short, but they were good episodes. I would have had Cersei attacking Winterfell as the White Walkers are attacking too, taking advantage. You're attacking your enemy when they're at their weakest point. Or I would have had the Night King split off, and when they're all expecting him to attack Winterfell, he's heading towards King's Landing. And then the final battle takes place between all three, everyone in front of King's Landing, and the winner gets the throne. I don't like that I don't like that they spent all of these seasons building Daenerys to be different than her father, and then she turned in the last couple episodes they turn her into the Mad Queen.
See, I saw her becoming the Mad Queen for a long time. Before season 8, I was saying she's going to be the Mad Queen. That was always going to happen.
Did you read Chad's quote?
No.
Or Chad's post? My number one was The Walking Dead, but only if they add necrophilia. Corban's got my back on this.
That's so gross.
Oh man.
Corban did. He went off an entire rant about it. So
about necrophilia on Walking Dead?
About how he would watch the Walking Dead if they had necrophilia.
Okay.
I always knew Corban was a sicko.
Jeez Louise, Corban. Get your act together.
All right. I don't know. I like your read right there a little bit more, Matt. But at the same time, I think I saw Daenerys' turn coming from a long way off. But I don't know. I still don't like the way that it ended.
I think they walked the line because she was definitely going to get hers, and she wasn't going to let anybody stand in her way.
Plus, she had dragons, dude. She had freaking dragons.
And then when she finds
like a bomber, right?
Then she finds out that Jon is actually her nephew, and he's the rightful heir, and then she just has that like complete paranoia change in a matter of no time, and it was just like. Just the way they did it, and she was supposed to be different, and having her roast everyone in King's Landing and going to take the throne, I just felt it was poor writing.
Yeah.
It seems like they figured that they were going to have this Star Wars series, and they were like, oh, we got to hurry up and finish this. So they just rushed through the final season of Game of Thrones.
See, and this is another example of where I do agree with you, Lance. The final season was 8 episodes, and it wasn't enough. It should have been a longer season, and I do agree it was rushed, and it wasn't a good season, really. I enjoyed aspects of it, but
Well, yeah, because where earlier seasons you had 2 or 3 episodes for them to get from one place to another. John is going from where they're at to Westeros and back and King's Landing and like hyperspeed. It's like they got, all of a sudden got speedboats and they're just flying all over the place.
Yeah.
To get to places.
All right. Well, that was my number one. Sam, what was your number one of the decade TV
My
show?
number one is Breaking Bad. Oh my gosh, what a good show. And how every decision Walter White makes is so impactful. It's consequential. And my favorite scene is probably when Walter White goes to Aaron Paul's house, and Jessica Jones is there, and she's asleep, and he kind of pushes her onto her back, and she begins to choke, and then he just watches her choke and die. And I was like,
that's so
God.
chilling. Breaking Bad's my number one too, so we can spend a little bit of time on this.
that was such a chilling, terrifying scene, but the fact that he tried to play himself off as like a good guy at any point, when all along he was capable of the kind of heartless cruelty, and then to finally have him in the final episode acknowledge that it wasn't ever really about doing something for his family. It was about getting his and doing what he wanted to do and taking control of his life, which he felt was out of his control. And it was just brutal and beautiful and chilling and dark. And it was all the things that you would ever want. And it was perfectly paced. It was slow, it was methodical. There's a lot of scenes where there's music, and then the music for that show is really good, but there's so many scenes where everything critical happens where there's no soundtrack. It's just quiet contemplation as you're kind of holding your breath as Walter White takes things to the next level of darkness. And I loved it. I loved everything about that series.
Yeah, I changed my number one. It's Breaking Bad. You guys are right. Endings matter.
Well, just the way, like Sam touched on, he thinks that he's this moral character, and he kind of rides that moral line. And if there's something that needs to be done that he feels he can't do, he has Jesse do it. He has Jesse do all his dirty work, and that's kind of where he steps in and decides not to save Jane as she's choking, because she's taking that power away from him over Jesse, and he gets it back by removing her. So it's
Right.
just it's a very good show, like all the way around.
I need to rewatch it. Well, that was your number one as well, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was mine as well.
Yeah, so that's partially why I'm changing mine too, because you're right, endings matter, and we may as well go for a clean sweep on this one. Because
Breaking Bad just
is an amazing
show. There's no show that I can think of from the past decade that delivers the performances that Breaking Bad did. I mean, Bryan Cranston, it solidified him as one of the best actors of our generation. And it kind of springboarded his career into getting him, because before that, he was the dad on Malcolm in the Middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
then after Breaking Bad, he played Zordon in Power Rangers. So exactly, you're exactly right. Launched him to such great heights as Power Rangers.
No, but I don't know if you guys have seen The Upside with him and Kevin Hart.
Yes.
I want to.
It's a fantastic movie, and the performance he delivers in that is it's really good. And I don't think that he would have been in a position to get a movie like that without Breaking Bad. And he's just so believable in the role. I mean, just his descent into, the whole premise of the show, Breaking Bad, the descent into evil like that is just phenomenal. And then just showing, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, the end where he's killed, it just shows how bad choices can lead to your demise.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing about characters make choices, and how those choices should be in line with what we understand about the characters. And that was the thing about Breaking Bad, is that it seemed like it was a character-driven narrative where every episode concerned one major choice, and that choice would lead to the next episode or the next season. Whereas, and you learn to rely on each character to make a certain type of choice. Walter White would always do the thing that was most selfish and would always make things worse. Jesse Pinkman would do the thing that he was trying to stay afloat. He didn't want to drown in complete evil. He was trying to stay afloat in this kind of moral area, gray area. There's a lot of shows where, for the sake of plot, they sacrifice character. One of the biggest offenders in recent memory is Heroes, where they had this really terrific bad guy, Siler. In the first season, he was so terrifying. And everywhere he went, he would leave a brainless body behind of somebody whose powers he had stolen. And then at the very end, they pulled the punch. They make it so he doesn't do the dastardly deed, and eventually in later seasons, they turn him into a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, he was the one character I could rely on to make a consistent choice. The good guys were all wishy-washy. You couldn't depend on any of them to do the right thing when it mattered, because the plot required 3 more episodes. And if they did the right thing right then, they would win. But Breaking Bad never had a moment like that where, for the sake of plot, they had a character pull a punch. Walter White would always take it to the next level, and you could depend on him to be the character who would drive things further down. So in every level, story, character, themes, Breaking Bad delivers, and that's why it is easily deserving of the best of the decade.
Well, and you said something when we were talking about our movies and kind of how they changed movies going forward. And I think Breaking Bad does exactly that, because I'm pretty sure Walking Dead came out after Breaking Bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Walking Dead, I think, adopts a lot of the same like character-driven.
I know
It came out during.
Walking Dead started 2010.
Yeah, it was 2 years into Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad.
I'm
was
just
lower.
saying, from that point
Also-
forward,
Also, Walking Dead is based on graphic novels that started before Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
yes, but the character development in the show is, from what I've read from Walking Dead, I see differences between the two as far as how they develop characters and things like that. The show, I think, is much better at that than the comic book. But Matt's read a lot more of the comic books than I have. I don't know if he would agree with that.
I think you get a lot more character development in the comics than you do in the show. Other than like your main group, like Rick and stuff, I mean you get more backstory for the side characters in the comics than you do in the show.
But there's been plenty of shows that have come out since then that kind of really adopt that character development that Breaking Bad was a master at. One of those shows that I would probably put in that is I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, but there's been a lot of drama shows that have come out recently that really focus on character development more than just pushing the story along. I feel like Breaking Bad was more about the characters than what the actual things that they were doing.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, I mean, amazing show. We could talk about it so much longer. We're already over 2 hours here. So let's finish off talking about our top games of the decade. I know of this panel, Matt and I are the biggest gamers here, but I think all of us play enough video games over the last 10 years to at least make some picks here. I wanted to throw out a number 5, and I think I am going to real quick along with my number 4. Red Dead Redemption 2, I think, is going to be my number 5. Horizon Zero Dawn is my number 4.
Okay, this is just from games that I've actually played. So my number 4 is going to be Shovel Knight because it's. I've only played 4 games this decade, so Shovel Knight.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't all have to be gamers.
My number 5 is Spider-Man, and my number 4 is Grand Theft Auto 5.
All right.
My number 4 is Spider-Man.
It's a great one. That probably would have been on my list, like number 6. The Last of Us is my number 3.
My number 3 is Mario Maker 1.
My number 3 was Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
My number 3 was Red Dead Redemption.
The original?
The original.
Nice. I think that was 2010, so that's right at the cutoff. All right. Number 2, God of War, the reboot from 2018. Holy crap. What an amazing game. Probably some of the best storytelling. Between The Last of Us and God of War, some of the best storytelling in video games.
My number 2 is Pokemon Go. You guys remember that 2 months when it came out? How great everything was?
Hey, that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah, I still play it.
Is it my turn or
No,
My
Matt's?
number two was also God of War.
My number 2 is Uncharted 3, but specifically the Uncharted franchise, but Uncharted 3, or not. I mean, the whole Uncharted series, but specifically Uncharted 3.
Okay. Uncharted 4 is my favorite of that franchise, but Uncharted 3 is really good too. All right. My game of the decade is a game that a TV show is out about right now, although the TV show is about the book. But The Witcher 3 is my game of the decade. Wow. Like, I love RPGs, I love fantasy, and you don't get better than The Witcher, in my opinion. The Witcher 3 is so good. I've probably put over 100 hours into that. Not that time spent means the best game ever, because I put 1,200 hours into the original Destiny, but it doesn't make my top list because it's a fantastic game, but to me it doesn't fit this category of best of the decade. But The Witcher 3, the original story, all the side quests, and then you've got 2 DLC packs that only cost $25, and they were the size of full games. One of the DLC packs took me a good 30 hours to beat. The other one took me 10. Like, so much content, and it's quality. It's not just like quantity. The world building, everything about The Witcher 3 is just amazing. And I recommend it to anyone that enjoys RPGs.
Okay, my number 1 is Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. For Comic-Con a couple years ago, I cosplayed as Cass, the accordion-playing Birdman, and it was just a really fantastic game. The open-world design was a lot of fun. I appreciated that more than the kind of guided narratives in the Legend of Zelda series that had preceded it. I've also enjoyed watching the speedruns and the speedrun techniques that have been developed since then. There's a lot of hidden game mechanics in Breath of the Wild that if you went straight to Ganon and beat it and then put the controller down, you missed out on a lot of the developments since then. Specifically, my favorite is called the bullet time bounce, where you can shield jump at light speed off of enemies if you do a bullet time shield bounce on enemies, which is just fantastically fun to watch. There's some surprising game mechanics. The map itself is lots of fun to explore. I dubbed Sundays of the Wild. I would put on my Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild t-shirt and play Legend of Zelda until my gamepad went dead. So it's my favorite game of the decade. I play it all the time, still love it, and still enjoy it. I think I will enjoy it for many years to come.
Yeah, I want to play that one. I just don't have a Switch. I've heard such amazing things. I'm surprised Super Smash didn't make your list at all, though.
Again, it's because so Super Smash Bros. I bought that game for the Wii U, and a month into playing it, my disc got scratched, and I didn't ever finish it. So
Fair enough.
My number 1 was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Amazing game. That's
Amazing
another
game,
one of those.
amazing
great
story. I mean, you had so many years between the first one, and it was a prequel to the first one, and just this
Far better than the first one too.
It was the story, the random encounters with the people in the wild you come across, the hilarity that ensues in that game, the things you can do. Even though it's still kind of clunky, the addition of Red Dead Online was nice. I mean, it's just one of those games that I'll revisit every now and then and play through again. I'm hoping for another one somehow, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely my game of the decade.
Yeah, we'll probably get one, but it might be 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, which brings me to my number one, The Last of Us, which we're still waiting on the sequel to be released.
Hey, that comes out next year. That's at least got a date.
But I feel like the trailer came out like 2 or 3 years ago. They had a trailer come out with her playing guitar on a bed that I feel like came out years ago.
It's probably like 2017. That's the hype cycle, man. They're getting the hype rolling.
No, The Last of Us to me, as far as as it's.
I hate to interrupt. You guys carry on without me. My battery is about dead, so I gotta jam. Thanks for chatting.
We're almost done anyway. Have a good one, Sam. Thank you.
All right, bye.
The Last of Us to me was more than just a game. It was almost like watching a movie. Like it was a cinematic experience as far as how they worked in the gameplay to make it seem less like a video game and more like an actual like actor running. There's a scene where the main character, I don't remember his name, he's sick
Joel?
or goes down. Joel?
Yeah.
And the girl has to go and forage in the woods with the bow and arrow, and watching behind her, and how Tomb Raider did this really well too. The reboot Tomb Raider, where it seemed like it borrowed the same mechanics, but it's almost like you're operating a character in a movie rather than just, standing like Halo, you're standing behind some guy the whole time and shooting and stuff. Like the gameplay almost seemed like a cutscene in and of itself.
I think my problem with The Last of Us though is it's too familiar. If you play a lot of video games, it's a familiar concept. It's like like you said, they took Tomb Raider and mashed it with Resident Evil, and you've now got The Last of Us. It felt way too familiar for me. And even playing through, like I made it through halfway through the first one, I was like, this is so boring because it feels like I'm playing a watered down bootleg of Resident Evil.
So the gameplay, I'm going to agree with you. The gameplay in The Last of Us is not why I play it. In fact, I don't really like the gameplay but that's mostly because I hate zombie games. I don't enjoy things running at me. Like the Hive is my least favorite thing to fight. The Thrall and Destiny, I hate fighting them. But it's just not my preference. But the story is why I get drawn in. Because The Walking Dead, it's the same thing. I really enjoy The Walking Dead, but I don't really like zombies. But the storytelling is so good that's why I've watched it. And that's why The Last of Us is so good to me. The storytelling and the characters, like Joel and Ellie's relationship, is just amazing. And Quantum Kyle's asking us, what console do you guys have? I'm on Xbox, PS4. I technically have a PC, but I don't really play it anymore. So Xbox and PS4. And I know Lance has Xbox and PS4. And don't you have everything, Matt? You've got it all.
I have a Switch too.
Yeah, I have Xbox, PS4, and PC.
Yeah.
I had a Switch, but I sold it because I wasn't. After I beat Breath of the Wild, I wasn't playing it anymore.
Yeah, I've just bought a second one for my kids. The Switch. I love the Switch.
Well,
for my kids, one is your office
true.
Switch,
They were
and the
playing
other one is
mine
your
all the
bathroom
time.
Switch. Yeah, right. You're like, I gotta take a dumper and my battery's dead. Where's my second Switch?
They were playing mine all the time, and I got tired of that. I was never able to play it because they were always on it. That Santa brought them another one.
Did you get a light or a normal one?
No, normal one.
Okay.
Yeah, the light just doesn't make sense to me because it's $100 more than the light, but you can't hook it to your TV. The controllers don't detach. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh yeah, the lack of detaching controller does kind of suck.
See, for me, the light would be better because I never attached mine to my TV. Like I always played it handheld. Like that was the way to go. Now,
I don't play handheld games really.
The detachable I did like because I like to take the controllers off and set the little screen up on the kickstand and play it that way. But I rarely ever put it in the dock and connected it to my TV.
Yeah, that's the only way I play it is sitting on my couch. with it on the TV.
Yeah, I want to get a Switch, but I'm probably not going to get a Nintendo console until the next one. By that point, my kid will be old enough to play video games, and Nintendo is definitely the best for children. Not that Xbox and PS4 aren't good for kids, because there's some good stuff, but like Mario Kart, Super Smash, like those are very
By that
friendly.
time, everything's going to be VR. You're going to be playing video games
I mean,
in a
that's
little like
only
pair of
5
sunglasses.
years from now.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
we were babysitting a kid earlier today. He's 4. He's old enough to play some video games. You know, it's only like 5 years from now. It's not
So
too
my
far.
kids play a lot of Xbox, but what I've noticed the difference between the Xbox and the Nintendo Switch is the Nintendo Switch just seems indestructible. They've gone through so many Xbox controllers. They're not playing Xbox anymore right now because they broke both of their controllers. Whereas the Nintendo Switch, like, I've watched them drop it. I've watched them throw the controllers like they're animals, and it's still functioning like the day that we got it. It just seems indestructible.
That's good.
Well, I mean, it's got to have a little bit of durability to it because it's made to be portable. So
Yeah.
But the Xbox, I mean, those controllers, like, I don't know what they do to them, dude, but they've broken another 2. They've gone through like 4 or 5 of them.
That is weird because the PS4 controllers are known to be like pretty fragile. But
I've
Xbox
broken the
aren't.
PS4 controllers.
Look,
I myself have broken them.
I have tile floors, and I drop my Xbox controller on the floor constantly, and it hasn't broken yet. So I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've spilled something on it or
his
what.
kids
dude,
know how
but
to break things. My house is still in tatters from his visit.
It's just, dude, I don't know what they did, man. Like, we always get the extended warranty on these things now when we buy them because the Square Trade or whatever will cover all that stuff.
Oh, it ends up being worth it when you have
You're
kids.
raising a pack of Jawas over there, huh?
Dude, they're animals, man. They're animals.
Well, hey, that'll do it for our top of the decade and of the year and everything. We've been online for a really long time, so
This is nothing. This is a cakewalk for me.
I know you guys are on long. Real quick, let's talk. Let's say what one thing you were really excited about you got for Christmas, even if you just bought it for yourself.
Go ahead, Matt.
Mine would be this beautiful new microphone I got right here.
Nice.
It is very pretty.
So got a lot of podcasting gear for Christmas, so I'm super stoked on that.
It's awesome.
Mine would be. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mine, my wife got me a Sega Genesis Mini.
Oh, nice! I've got one of those, and I've
it's
never
so
played it.
fun, dude. Well, this is the new one. So the new
Okay.
one was made by Sega Genesis. It's not the AT Games or AT Games or
okay.
whatever. It's built very much like the Nintendos were, and the controllers are like the same thing that I had in the early 90s. Like, they're identical, and the games that they chose to put on it are fantastic. I mean, all the Sonic games are on there. Kid Chameleon, Alex Kidd's on there. Like, it's just a bunch of classic games.
Nice.
But I'm going to be hacking it soon so I can put more games on it.
You would. That's definitely your kind of thing, though. You like the retro games more than I do. I like the new updated graphic stuff.
I plugged it in, and my family came over for Christmas, and we played that thing for like 4 hours straight.
Nice.
Like, yeah, it's just a fun thing, casual thing.
I got pretty much all I got for Christmas was my office, and a lot of the stuff in my office I already had, such as my TV. Like, that's not new. But this little couch back here, that was my main gift to myself. So very excited to finally have a couch in here. I've got the surround sound truly set up so that people can come and ask to hear it. Okay.
No one asks.
They ask.
No one asks. No one asks. But that can't be your favorite gift. I mean, what did I get you?
It's right back there.
A child.
I'll grab
Apparently, you guys are having a child together.
Max is carrying this one, not me. I'm trying to keep my girlish figure.
Okay, I love you, but this is not my favorite gift, Lance, okay? I'm sorry. But this is an amazing gift. Lance is really good at giving gifts. I'm horrible at it. He got me this cool pop Darth Vader. Really like it.
That's awesome.
See, I put it in the plastic thing like you said I was supposed to.
This one is one of the few pops that I've seen where you buy it and it comes in the plastic thing. he tells me, "Oh, I took it out of the plastic thing. I'm going to use it for something else." I go, "No, dude, that's not. Put it back in the plastic thing."
Well, at first when I got it, I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't see it through the plastic. And I don't know if it was just because I'm blind, because now it's in the plastic and it's fine. I can totally tell what it is.
Yeah.
But
So that
I didn't take it out of the box, though.
good. That Darth Vader thing, you can't find those anywhere. And I go into this small town in Colorado and do a Target, and they had like 8 of them. And people are going crazy looking for those things. It's already worth like $50.
Did you buy them all?
I just bought 2. I bought one for me and one for him.
That's where you messed up.
So.
Got to buy them all. Buy them all and sell them online. You got kids to put through college, man. You got a small football team to put through college.
Well, that'll do it for us. That'll do it for 2019. We will see you guys in 2020, and we're very excited about it. But
do you guys have any?
Coming on.
I mean, before you guys go, I don't want to keep you past time because I know you got time restrictions. But I'd be interested to hear what your guys' what's your guys' goals for 2020 for Couch Crunchers, and what do you guys see yourself accomplishing and wanting to do?
So it sounds like we just got approved for passes with WonderCon, which we've never been before. So we're really excited about that. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's pretty cool, like just to see the Couch Crunchers brand grow, and I think Absolute Geek has been real instrumental in that, because you guys have kind of shown us the way and really like this is the way. But no, you guys have been like real instrumental in like kind of guiding us a little bit, and like we've changed our show quite a bit based on recommendations that you have made, Matt, personally, and but it's really cool. I mean, just seeing our website grow and seeing how well the YouTube's doing and our podcasts, and just getting into WonderCon is an amazing accomplishment, and I'm excited. 2020 looks good. What about you, Matt? What has Absolute Geek got on the horizon?
We're ending. You're hearing it here first. We're done. You've heard it here first. That's it. That's the end of it.
Do you want to come on as the
Matt's going to come a full-time member of Couch Crunchers?
No, I mean we've got good things coming. I mean, if you're not growing, if you're not changing and you're not adapting, you're not growing. What are you doing? So that's what we're taking a hard look at everything, and we're going to make some changes to our own show moving forward. But I mean, continued growth, man. That's what we're looking for. We want to make Phoenix the hotbed for podcasting, man. We want to make Phoenix the place to be for podcasting. And I think that between us, you guys, Grizzle Geek, STS guys, Comic Exposure, to read a comic book, even Jay with Audio Ammunition, like it's here. It's now, like, Phoenix is a fantastic place for podcasters, and
yeah,
we can start some great things here. And just even the community we've already started to build and grow here has been fantastic. And I'd love to see 2020 build on that more, and all of us be able to collab more and kind of just show the world what Phoenix is capable of as far as podcasting, and show some Dink in particular that his thought of global domination was good, but it all starts at home. And we can show him that our brand can be
last? How long did his nerd podcast last?
Yeah, right. And it's being
it shows you how much that guy knows.
Right.
Yeah, shows you how much he knows. No, I agree. It's kind of cool because the way we met up, Jay and I we were going to start this AZ NerdNet thing, and we kind of just reached out to you guys on a whim, thinking that you guys were going to laugh us off. And though AZ NerdNet is not what it was, the idea is still there, and it's cool that it's created such long-lasting friendships, because Matt and I, we don't even, like, we talk about the podcast and stuff, but the majority of our conversations are Letterkenny quotes, and it's just two friends BS. And now I think we're trying to get all the podcasts together to go to that new superhero restaurant in Phoenix.
I totally want to do that. If you guys are willing to wait until March, I would love to come, because I'm going to be
we'll make a plan to make it work. I'd like to see when Travis is going to be down from Japan, or You don't say down because isn't
Over?
through over
Up, back. Yeah.
I mean, it is a globe either way. You can go any way.
You'd say through, right? 'Cause
When
it's, like,
Travis is
behind
going to
us.
be directional, whatever direction he's coming from. Back to Phoenix.
But it'd be cool to get us all together because I think the last time that a lot of us were in a room together was at Kyle's wife's restaurant. Because we had Couch Crunchers, Absolute Geek, we had Comic Exposure, and STS guys. We all got together and had lunch, and that was what, 2-3 years ago, Matt? 2 years ago?
That was a year ago. It was like last year, October.
Yeah, dude, Couch Cruncher started in 2017, so it
Yeah, it was a year ago, dude.
What?
Yeah, it was last October that we did. It was October 2018 that we did the all the crossover stuff. So it's only been
right
a
before
year.
my daughter was born?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know why it seems so long ago. That's still a long time, though.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
You know. But and you guys are going to be at Phoenix, right, with us?
Yep, we're gonna be at Phoenix.
We're all good. And then we're going to be in Tucson because I never miss that show because it's just easy to go to.
I'm saying you guys should bail on Tucson and go to WonderCon, man.
We'll go to
WonderCon's gonna be your stepping stone for greater things. I'm telling you.
But one's April and one's November. So
Yeah.
I mean I should be able to go to both. But
Well, you guys are going to be at Comic-Con, right? Comic-Con proper?
Yeah, we're gonna be at San Diego. We're gonna be there full force this year. It's gonna be 3 of the 4 of us because Bryan doesn't want to go, so it's gonna be me, Kyle, and Corbin. So we're gonna
Brian
be
doesn't
there
want to
full
go.
force. Nope.
Brian
If you
has a
gotta-
weird thing against comic conventions.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got a 4th pass, Lance will go.
It doesn't I don't think it works like that. Like you have to individually.
You do, but they don't check ID. So, like, if you're wearing a badge with someone else's name in it, they're not going to stop you and be like, "Let me see your ID."
Okay, so when Kyle inevitably drops out, I'll go in Kyle's place.
Right.
You guys are basically twins.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
But apparently, Kyle thinks Matt and I are twins now. So
Well, he's joking because you said a while ago that you and him are alike because you both drive VWs now and all that. So like he took it as a joke that you guys are twins. So I give him crap for that all the time because I'm always like, who am I talking to, Lance or Kyle? I'm confused. I mean, that's all he's got to do is piggyback off that joke.
no, it's funny how similar Kyle and I are, and how unsimilar we are at the same time. It's pretty
Your
funny.
guys' crush on Judge Judy is just creepy, though.
Yeah, dude, I thought I was the only one.
That's weird. It's weird. You know, so you asked goals, though. I have 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. One is to finally get freaking our stream to be on multiple platforms at once. And I cannot figure out the stupid app that is so easy for you. I don't know why, but I really want to be able to get that XSplit or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I want that to work. Like, that's a big goal of mine. Really getting us out there more, having intros to our show and like all that stuff, making our show just a bit better produced. And then,
but we've come a long way, dude. I don't know if you've heard our first episode.
You guys have come leaps and bounds. Yeah, from being in the same room sharing one microphone where you guys were all sound like you're coming from the toilet.
Oh, it sounded terrible.
To now,
Sam's still coming from the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get Sam a mic. That's another goal. That's a 3rd goal.
He has one. I gave him one.
What is he using that his battery dies? As
laptop, I think.
You can't plug it in? Do they not make a power source for those things? Like,
yeah.
No, but we got a lot of good things, and we want to do more giveaways too. Right now we have a giveaway for some exclusive Funko Pops, but we're gonna start giving away some like movie tickets and movies and things like that. That we're gonna have a ton of stuff at Phoenix Comic-Con to give away for sure.
Solid. Yeah, man. I mean, I want to see this community grow, and I know we're going to Phoenix. I know we're going to San Diego. I'm pretty sure since they were there last year, STS guys are going to be there. That's a group that I think we need to get more involved with everything. And we could take San Diego by force if we can get all of our shows tickets and to go in there and just show the world what Phoenix has to offer as far as podcasting goes.
Yeah.
So
I have one more thing that I want to show you guys before we call it a night. My brother sent this to me, if my internet will load. And if you guys are Star Wars fans, if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, this is going to be a pretty big spoiler. But I wanted to share this because I thought it was pretty darn funny. So
The picture.
Yeah, if you guys can see this meme, it's absolutely hilarious, in my opinion. In episode 2, Anakin talks about how much he hates sand. Star Wars are talking here. And so this meme is basically, it says Anakin watching Rey bury his lightsaber in the sand. And it's got a bunch of pictures of him looking upset and devastated. And
That's
I just
awesome.
love it. It's absolutely amazing. I love stuff like this. My brother sent that to me while I was in the bathroom earlier, and I just started giggling uncontrollably. All right.
Max, I think you should move your office closer to your bathroom.
Oh, it's pretty close. You know how close.
Oh, that's
it is.
true. It's on the other side of your wall.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I know. I've got issues, okay? Arizona, man. Okay. Arizona, we ate. Oh my gosh, spamming photos.
who's the
there, Matt.
amateur that has their phone on?
Mine's on Do Not Disturb.
Mine? Yeah, who is that me on accident?
Amateur.
No, I'm on silent.
Oh, my Do Not Disturb was only on for an hour.
Amateur.
Yeah, man. What the frick, Lance? Yeah.
Hey, we're all human.
Are we?
Well, sometimes I question Corban, but
I'm a podcaster. I'm not human.
but
Go ahead. I don't remember what I was saying.
no, I just I really appreciate you, Matt, and let our listeners know how they can find you.
Oh, you guys can catch us every weekend or every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. live on YouTube, youtube.com/Absolute Geek Podcast. You can find us on anywhere you download podcasters from, whether it's Stitcher, Podbean, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio. I'm drawing a blank on the big one, Spotify. There we go. You can check out our website, absolutegeekpodcast.com, SoundCloud. We're pretty much anywhere you can find to podcast. So good stuff.
I'm sorry. I'm just giggling at all the photos you just sent us. Oh my gosh, those are amazing. Not entirely child friendly, but that's okay. That was the other goal I was going to talk about. I want us to become more laid back. We've tried to be family friendly for a long time, and it's not that I want to be like crazy not family
I'm
friendly.
incapable.
But
I'm
like,
incapable.
when
I
we-
really toned myself down for this show.
yeah, when we go on the Absolute Geek show, we get a lot more laid back, and I want to be that way a little bit more here on Couch Crunchers. That's another goal of mine. But yeah, these memes are gold. These are really good.
You were talking about it earlier, and I haven't seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. We got some good ones in here.
Real quick before
Well,
we go, I had an
ahead.
issue. I just thought of it. My issue with The Mandalorian. Why don't they know what a Jedi is?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like the Emperor tried to like hide all remnants of the Jedi, but they should know what a Jedi is.
But like this takes place after
Yeah,
Return of the Jedi. So like you would think Luke's like gallivanting adventures would spread word through the galaxy.
you would think so, but at the same time, in Episode 7, you hear Rey and Finn talking about it as if it's myth. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't like that. Like, how do you not know what the Force is? How do you not know what a Jedi is? Like, that
Did
was
you
kind
see J.J. Abrams came out and told everyone what Finn wanted to ask Rey or tell Rey?
Yeah, I
And
like
he's
that.
Force sensitive.
Yeah, these Force
Yeah.
sensitive. I thought
I
that
just
his
wish he would have
pants.
actually told her.
And the pants for her.
Me too.
Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
feeling. Oh, I get
One
a feeling.
Hi, Curtis, my buddy. He's super Star Wars fan. He says the galaxy's still blind to it. Maybe.
Grizzle Geek says absolute is bad influence for family friendly.
So Ty, actually, I meant to bring this up at the start of the show. So last week we were talking on Rise of Skywalker about an inconsistency with Anakin's lightsaber and how it breaks in The Last Jedi, and how the heck did she get it back? I guess in the last scene of The Last Jedi, you actually see Rey has the two pieces in her possession. So it definitely makes sense that she could have repaired that lightsaber. So I guess
don't remember that. I remember the last thing I remember from the Last Jedi is the stupid little kid on the picking the broom up on the.
It's before that, and yeah, that scene was stupid. It's before that. It's like when her and Leia are together. It's on the Millennium Falcon. So it is shown in The Last Jedi that she had the pieces of the lightsaber. Anyway, as you guys know now, my wife is pregnant and she is texting me, so I need to go and talk to her.
Whipped.
Whipped. I've been on the podcast for 3 hours. Also, I think I'm going to go see Rise of Skywalker again at 11:15. They got a deal.
Oh my gosh, I fell asleep the second time we went.
Yeah, I might
Quite
fall
often.
asleep this time because it's late, but it's D-Box and I want to go see it. Anyway,
But
go ahead.
So everybody, every 50 subscribers, we're going to send out a Funko Pop. If you share the video, we're going to put you in for an extra entry, so you get 2 chances to win. But every 50 you'll have a chance to win one of these Funko Pops that are currently not in my possession. Tyler has them, and he's not on the show tonight. So, but
That's another goal of 2020. Get Tyler on the show more.
yes. But yeah, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the website, couchcrunchers.com, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you want to get a podcast, we're there. So
Absolutely. Thanks again, Matt. And until
No
next
problem,
time.
guys. Always happy to join.
Yeah, keep on geeking on.
and that's my line.